Hello, good evening and welcome ladies and gentlemen to the season finale of the SimRacing International GTE Championship Season 1 as brought to you on the premier sim racing platform available only on PC, known as iRacing. That's right folks, we have made our way around the globe for 9 incredible rounds of racing action on a weekly basis, but the story must come to an end and we are going to close the book on Season 1, while season finale here today, round 10 of 10, and we have made our way all the way to Japan for the Suzuka International Racing Course, a circuit designed in 1962 by none other than John Hugenholtz. Originally as a test track for the Honda Motor Company, it has quickly evolved into one of the premier racing circuits in the world, and no championship is complete without a round at Suzuka. 3.6 miles in length and 5.8 kilometers depending on your preference of units, but one thing that is core, 17 corners. All these corners are absolute household names, not just in Japan, around the world, where because the infamous turn 1, the S's are turns 3 through to 6, or later on, spoon and into 130 are the dreaded fast left-hander. This is one of those circuits whereby track position is absolutely key, but also a mastery of your machine and knowing exactly how to attack each and every corner is absolutely vital. Because it is a test track, it means that setup of a car is going to be put to the test here, and with 4 very unique sectors, our drivers will need to get to grips with their cars and the sectors very quickly and dial out all the understeer and oversteer that they find holding them back, as otherwise they may be held back in qualifying. If they don't qualify well, the only way they're going to be able to move forward is by being daring into some of the heavy braking zones, or alternatively being smart on strategy. And then again, let's never rule out strategic smarts. We've seen how important those have been over the course of the season so far, so this is truly going to be an absolutely climactic conclusion to our racing, and we welcome you all to tune in live as we bring you all the race action tonight. Indeed, as you tune in on the SimRacing International YouTube channel, go to youtube.com and search for SimRacing International SRI, and why not subscribe today so that way you stay up to date with all our latest broadcasts on a weekly basis from our ongoing series, including the GTE Championship. We do say hello to a few guys and girls tuning in right now, including another Bitcoin Satoshi Crypto, and well, first and foremost into the chat there, and I hope you're doing well, good sir, who says we will have some surprises on this event, and indeed we could see some surprises because of course we do have 3 championships still to be decided. One has been set, the Inter Championship crown provisionally. We've still got 3 more to go, and that's why we're here today as we get ready to go racing. In the content booth you have myself, my name is Paul Walsh, and I'll be bringing you all your racing action from this season finale as I've done over the whole of the season. And enough about me, let's bring you up to speed with regards to all the racing thus far, and particularly what happened last time out at Mugello. So as we charge into this season finale, today is the 6th of March 2026, but wind the clock back a week to the 27th of February, and what exactly happened at the end of the second month of the year? Well, round of 9 at Mugello, what did it get to see? Firstly, what we got to see at the fast-flying Italian circuit, owned by Scuderia Ferrari, was a very interesting race because excluding 2 minor incidents right towards the very start of the race, at turns 1 and 3, one of course involving both Miguel Leon and Tim Perry, the other one involving Pinto Sommerlevente, it was otherwise a relatively calm and clean race. There were less battles at the circuit, which we expected given its fast-flying nature, and one where it's all about momentum, and the fact there's only really one race in line, but we got to see when the battles did occur, they became incredibly fierce. And one of the most iconic battles of the day, of course, between John Chamberlain and Brandon White for 7th place in the Pro class, but we also got to see an absolutely brilliant return to the grid of none other than Pedro Luis da Silva, who had been away for a sizable period of time, having been affected by the outcome of the storms in North Portugal. We're so good to see him back there, and whilst nearly wasn't able to take victory, it felt like a victory just seeing him on the grid, and indeed the emotions are very high for him and everyone tuning in, and indeed for everyone out there on the grid joining him in the racing. But who exactly had the emotions at the highest at the very front of the field in our respective classes? Well, in the elite class, it's the one name that rings true. If he's on the grid, he's going to win it, it would seem. A 7th win of the season for Mirko Bortolotti, and taking that championship lead even further now. He is the favourite to take the elite championship crown, and we'll bring you up to speed with the standings very shortly. He took pole position in the end over his teammate Marinko Jordanovski, and he never let it go, gradually gapping him over the race distance. In the pro class, we saw what was a first win of the season for Matthias Pettinger, and started second in class, missing out on pole position by 3/10 to Angel Ordonez. There was drama on the starting grid, with Angel Ordonez having to go to the pit lane due to a technical issue with the car, and as a result it meant that Pettinger took the lead before we went green, and he never let it go. He played it safe, he played it smart, he prioritised points for himself and the team, and therefore very happily took his first win of the season. And oh my goodness, was he over the moon in his interview. I can tell you that, ladies and gents. There are a few swear words that crept out as well, but to be fair, all could be forgiven for that, given how emotionally high he was on it, and we completely understand, and we wouldn't hang him to dry on that. Then in the interclass, Kevin Smith was the name who took victory, and in the end he took pole in class, and after the early spin for Pinto Sommerlevente, well, it was really all Kevin Smith's race to lose, and he did admit in his post-round interview he had been working incredibly hard in the build-up to round number 9 to welcome both his approach to driving the car at Mugello, but also his mental approach to the racing, and we got to see that 3rd win of the season, and arguably his most mature and his best win thus far, and that's how we come into this round in terms of your winners last time out. But we've spoken of winners, of course, there's plenty other individuals we need to talk about on the grid, and therefore to do that, well, let's talk about how they stand in the standings after 9 rounds. And here we can see, starting with the Elite Drivers' Championship, it is Mirko Bortolotti who leads the way after what is 9 rounds with 7 wins, and what a run of wins it has been. He's only missed 2 rounds, and even though he's picked up 1 drop score, because remember, our drivers will drop a round between rounds 1 and 9, tonight's round is undroppable. We just need to repeat that. This round, they will score the points where they finish, and therefore they cannot drop this round, so every point matters tonight, whereas it hasn't for one of the rounds this season. But Mirko Bortolotti, even with a drop score and a 0, is your leader of the Elite Championship for GazX Racing Team MCM, and all he needs to do today is make sure he finishes close behind Martin Stattmann, and he will be your champion, because Tim Perry, if he was to take the full 50 points for the win, which are available, he would then be equal to Bortolotti, but Bortolotti would win based on result countback, given the fact that he has all the wins and Perry has none. Meanwhile, Martin Stattmann, well, he's in second place there. He is the only driver who can take the crown away from the Italian driver, but to do so, he's got to beat Bortolotti, and then Bortolotti's got to finish sizably down that order to the tune of at least 5 places behind if we do see Stattmann take the victory. If he finishes a bit lower and Bortolotti's even further down, well, then it's going to be a bit more complicated, but you get the picture. But to be fair to Martin Stattmann, 3rd place last time out, it wasn't terrible from him, albeit as the race went on, we did see his pace gradually drop away from the top 2, and he wasn't quite able to stay with Jordanovski nor with Bortolotti, with Stattmann's own BMW starting to run out of pace. Tim Perry sits in 3rd, meanwhile, 7th place last time out, and unfortunately not quite able to capitalise on what was looking to be a solid day, and the main reason for it, of course, after qualifying 5th, was a bit of a challenge with regards to pace for the top 4, but also the open lap incident between him and Miguel Leon at turn 1. Well, they both agreed it was a racing incident, but it also did mean that Tim Perry had to go on a bit of a recovery drive in the end, and well, he dug deep, but it does mean that he's hoping now it's going to be a much more straightforward day today if he wants to take that 2nd place in the championship. Miguel Leon, meanwhile, he sits in 4th place there, a non-finish last time out for Enosis Esports, and well, definitely has been a bit of frustrating at back end of the season, but he'll be hoping to go for victory today. Head on Marinko Jordanovski there for the GazX Racing Team JRM, and we're into 5th place on 290 points, and the big question really is who's going to be in 2nd and 3rd at the end of the season, rather than who could take the crown. We do think the favourite is going to take it, understandably so given the run of form, but you never know until we see the finish line, of course. Sylvain Depeche sits in 6th, and right now his only place that he can potentially move forward from there would be to 5th, if Jordanovski was to have a nightmare day and Depeche was able to take the maximum haul of points, so therefore the Cube Racing Team driver's got no pressure on him technically today, particularly given the fact he's almost clear of Albert Prish, who sits in 7th for Enosis Esports. Olivia Dean is 8th there on 188 points, a further 5 behind, so you can expect the Spaniard and the Frenchman to fight. And Pedro Luis da Silva, well, his infamous Corvette has been changed to a Porsche coming into this round, so therefore the GPX Super Sport Onyx driver will be giving up his American machinery and going to German machinery for the season finale. But remember, for him, he's just here to enjoy the racing, and we can't question that. In terms of another car choice, we should point out Marinko Jordanovski has gone from his BMW to the Corvette, so he's using his 1 car change for the season finale. Those are the only car changes that we are aware of. We're going from our 9th place man for GPX Super Sport Onyx to the 10th place driver Christian Ablasser. Was a 12th place last time out for him at Magello, and the GazX Racing Team MCM driver not having a happy day at the office, and therefore he'll be hoping he can end the season on a much better day. Chad Henson there, a top 5 finish, his best performance of the season last time out, absolutely driving a brilliant drive for Los Dos Parado, and we're seeing the American driver continue to come on form. We had a brilliant conversation with him last time out as well, if my memory serves me correctly, and he really has been enjoying the racing, and finishing inside the top 5 did feel good for him. Mark Hutchinson, meanwhile, just a bit further behind that, 8th last time out for Altitude 3M Esports, and only the best part there of none other than 9 points adrift. And that's where the elite standing stand. What about in the pro class? Here we come to the second of our classes, and we can see Benjamin Massey for Inox Motorsport leads the way on 385 points to the 352 of Rene Russler. Now, it was a very interesting story for the British driver in qualifying at Mugello, because he was at the back end of a quartet fighting over 3rd. He took 6th on the grid. However, when we did go racing, and keep in mind he took 6th, only a 10th behind the 3rd place man Mikael Ebesek, and between the two of them was none other than Chris Round and Rene Russler. Well, when they did go racing, Benjamin Massey delivered a very strong start to his race, gained places, whereas his rivals lost out due to lap 1 contacts and incidents with each other, and it meant suddenly that he would soon be into 3rd, and that's where he was going to move forward from, and in the end he was able to take the 2nd place off his teammate of Ebesek, who gave up the place there, making sure to respect his teammate's championship aspirations, and that 2nd place coming forth, and in the end he could not quite catch up to his teammate and Matthias Pettinger. But it does mean he's the favourite coming into this round for the Pro Championship, with Rene Russler right now 9th, 4th place there. It wasn't quite the result he wanted, but to be fair to the GazX Racing Racing JRM driver, you can know and bet he's going to go all in to see if he can steal it away. Matthias Pettinger for Inox Motorsport, he cannot take the crown, but he can prove to be a bit of a thorn in the side of his rivals. Indeed, third will be the highest he can finish, but of course he has the big quotient now after that win of trying to hold off Angel Adones, the non-finisher last time out, and he is back here once again today, looking to see whether he can make things go his way and taking 4 wins, but also 3 DNFs. It really has been the biggest bad of mixed fortunes for Enosis Esports' driver compared to anybody else. He's on 297 points, only the best part of therefore 8 ahead of Jan Lintz, and well, Jan Lintz right now for the GazX Racing JRM team, well, he'll be hoping he can return to the podium. He's had a couple of podium finishes this season, 3 in total, but last time out it was just about a top 5. The German driver ahead of Sigit Boyce to the tune of 41 points, the Cube Racing team driver, who right now really focusing on making sure that Chris Round doesn't get any closer, and the Axis Sport driver a further 25 points behind, with Brandon White, they're fighting hard for that 8th place finish last time out, the American driver just ahead of Ryan Walker by 5 points, and then we do see Flavio Tiefri completing your top 10, and outside the top 10, with 3rd place last time out, his first podium of the season for Inox Motorsport, Mikhail Abasek, ahead of John Shamblin, and that 7th place, well, perhaps not the result he was expecting compared to the pace he did bring to the table, but to be fair, the Dynasty Motorsports driver gave us plenty of entertainment, and goodness me, did we love that entertainment, particularly his battle with Brandon White. Coming to the Interclass meanwhile, last but by no means least, here is where we do have your confirmed champion. John Lebrook, he is your inter-champion for this season. With the score last time at that 2nd place, it has moved him to 51 points clear of Andrew Fellows. It is mathematically impossible for him to now be overhauled unless he's to pick up several penalties. And then keep in mind, of course, any penalties that are given to drivers for racing instance, they won't be licence points, they will be deductions of championship points. You need to be clean in the season finale, even if you've already wrapped up the championship, because otherwise you may be vulnerable. Still, the GPX SimSport Xenon driver, he was absolutely ecstatic when we spoke to him in the interview room, and he was saying to us that his priority now is to work with the man who's currently in 2nd, Andrew Fellows, his teammate for GPX SimSport Xenon, to try and help Andrew make sure it's a 1-2 in the Inter-Championship, and also that they keep their team's championship very much on track, because they are right now in contention for the crown. We'll tell you a little bit more about that very shortly. Meanwhile, in 3rd is Bruno Key, the WePay 300 esports driver, running a special livery today, which we'll tell you more about shortly. But on 325 points, he's definitely looking to be in a fierce fight for 2nd, and he's only the best part there of 19 ahead of Pinto Somba Levente, the Hungarian driver who last time out did well to recover to 6th, given how the race started. It was unfortunate, given the fact he was the quickest driver out there in qualifying, but to be fair, as it now looks back in time, well, understandably, the battle between him and Kevin Smith, it was in fact Smith who took the pole in class. We should correct ourselves there, but Levente looked quick at the very start of the race, but that early spin cost him dearly, and therefore he wasn't able to take the fight to the Rana Academy driver. Brian Beardsworth, he's a further, what is 18 points behind there. He's in contention potentially for what could be even 2nd place here, but he'll be targeted the top 3 as a minimum, and the British driver there with another top 5. He really has been the ultimate example of consistency this season. Not one of his finishes outside the top 10, and most of them leading and gravitated towards 5th or 6th. How about that? Indeed, that's a driver you want to look up to. Karen Smith sitting in 6th there for Rano Academy. 3 wins now. Can he make it a 4th win and end his season on an all-time high and take a top 5? Or will he find himself not quite being able to do it? Craig Tillerson, his teammate, is in 7th there, well clear of Logan Timberlake. So therefore, for Tillerson right now, he's got no pressure on him to perform. The Rano Academy driver hadn't taken 1 podium this season. He may be looking for another. He's ahead of Logan Timberlake for Sim Party Racing, James Bostock for GPXs for Onyx, who took a podium once again last time out. So 4 third places right now, and all his other results being DNFs. That's a very odd pattern there, and hopefully we'll get to see him back on the grid today and perhaps going for the win. And he's ahead of Virgilio Garcia by only 10 points. He rounds off the top 10, with Eddie Fearbold and Marcus Singdon completing your top 12 in the Inter standings. Lastly then, the Teams Championship. And here we can see the teams. Inox Motorsport lead. They have taken the lead back, but only by 2 points there over GazX Racing Team MCM. It continues to sway back and forth, and indeed with the fact that both teams were able to achieve triple podiums last time out. Inox Motorsport 1, 2, 3 in the Pro class. GazX Racing Team MCM, however, you do have to keep in mind that it was 1st and 3rd. Whilst it was an all GazX podium in the Elite class last time out, Magello, in the 2nd place, it was a GazX Racing JRM car, not an MCM car, and therefore they didn't pick up as many points, and that's why Inox Motorsport have moved 2 points back ahead. GPX SimSport Xenon, meanwhile, they are a further 24 points adrift, but right now they could potentially take the Teams Championship if they pick up a 1, 2, 3 as well. GazX Racing JRM then, they have fallen to 4th. But right now, they're still trying to hold on there in the fight. They've got to be aware of the fact that Enosis Esports are not too far behind there in the rounding off of the top 5. Outside the top 5, meanwhile, it's looking as though we have our 5 contenders for the trophies, and therefore the question will be who is going to finish 6th. Will it be Altitude 3M Esports first, Steve, or will it be Cube Racing Team a further 8 points behind them? Then we have Rhino Academy. They are 70 points adrift, but they've got an outside chance. And then we do have a sizable gap back to GPX Sinsport Onyx, and We Pay 300 Esports completing that top 10. And right now, We Pay 300 Esports have fallen back to 10th. Again, the fact that it was a challenging day and Bruno Key was their best point scorer, but I have to wait and see what they can deliver today. And outside the top 10, not within reach of the top 10 anymore, HTS Racing 1 in 11th on 250 points. They're holding on to 11th place quite comfortably, and they have a 27-point lead over Axis Simsport in the hunt for 11th place, so their target will be just to hold on to that. But as we bring you up to speed of all the points then, let's talk a little bit about our host circuit for today. It is, of course, the Suzuka International Racing Course's Grand Prix Layout, located near the city in the Mie Prefecture of Japan, from which it takes its name, 3.60 miles in length of 5.80 kilometers, but regardless of the units, the same number of corners, 17 of them. A wide variety of hairpins, sweepers, chicanes, you name it, it's got it here. And indeed, right now, it is one of those circuits which really put driver and machine through their ultimate paces. And a huge thank you to iRacing.com, not just for their brilliant simulator, but the absolutely fantastic track maps that come with it. Now, we would normally talk about our circuit in a bit more detail, but we're going to save that for when we ride on board with other drivers in qualifying. But what we would like to do just before we head back to circuit side is confirm something you've all been asking about, and that is what happens after this season. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we reveal to you there is a second season underway in the near future. We will be back for season 2 on the 27th of March. So the sign-ups are currently open. Do keep that in mind as you sit there today. If you are enjoying the racing action, if you've been enjoying it all season and want to get on the grid, make sure you get signed up for season 2. We'll talk more about it in detail later on in today's broadcast, but this is just to point out the sign-ups are open. It'll be on Friday the 27th of March, and in terms of the schedule you can expect, we are mirroring the iRacing official schedule. However, a slight twist. For this season, we have lined week to week with regards to the schedule. Next season, we are going to be a week behind. So what it means is you get the full week of being able to practice in the iRacing officials, and then the week after, we go racing at the circuit you've been practicing for all the way through that week, and therefore it gives you plenty of time to practice for each and every round, and we can see that we kick off there on the 27th of March at the Sebring International Circuit. Now, we do have to remind you of the fact the iRacing official schedule has yet to be 100% confirmed. It has been submitted, and it will be confirmed next week by the iRacing admin team on week 13 of the 2026 Season 1 campaign. So therefore, do keep in mind this schedule could be subject to change in terms of the circuits we visit, but not the dates. So these dates are locked in, and I'm very happy to say, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be back in the content booth to bring you all the racing action for Season 2 when it does get underway, starting on the 27th of March. Of course, that's in the future. We'll tell you more about it a little bit towards the end of today's broadcast. We'll go in-depth there, because right now we need to finish the story of Season 1. We cannot open the book on Season 2. We need to finish writing the final chapter of this one. So therefore, let's make our way back to circuit side and see how they're all getting on in the throes of the final qualifying session. And as we do come back to circuit then, who exactly is looking good and who right now is perhaps needing a little bit more practice out there? Well, here's Pedro Luis da Silva in his newly liveried Porsche 911 RSR, indeed switching from the Corvette to the Porsche for the season finale, and currently 6th fastest in the elite class, but 7th overall. So not too bad there, but the very fastest driver out there at the moment is Marinko Jordanovski. Now, of course, he's been racing the BMW for the majority of the season, so he's suddenly gone to the Corvette. And it seems to be a bit of an inspired choice, no doubt about it, as he is the quickest out there in this session, albeit 35 thousandths quicker than the Ferrari Tate GTE Evo of none other than Mirko Bortolotti. Now remember, of course, Bortolotti today, all he needs to do is beat Martin Stattmann, and he will take that championship crown. Regardless, or finish right behind Stattmann, he'll do that as well. So the Ferrari driver has very little pressure on him for the GazX Racing MTM team, but as he comes roaring out of Spoon Curve, well, of course, he'll want to try and end the season on a perfect record of 8 wins out of 8 appearances. Indeed, that'd be going a very good way. Miguel Leon's currently 3rd fastest, a further 700ths behind, and it's a further 1.3 tenths to Tim Perry, who's currently in 4th place in his own Corvette, and looking quite quick, having moved from the BMW to the Corvette midway through the season. And that change of car has definitely come at the right time. They maximised the BMW, no doubt about it, but the Corvette seems to have really suited in the second half of the season. He's been able to extract a lot of pace out of it. But if that's how things stand currently in the elite class, what about in the pros? Well, you have to go to 6th place overall, and right now Championship Championship leader Benjamin Massey is the quickest of them all, by the best part there of none other than what is 1.3 tenths over Jan Lintz. Now, to be fair to Jan Lintz, he's looking quite quick here himself. This is one of his better qualifying performances of the season. We haven't seen him really contesting the pole position for some time in Pro, but right now 8th fastest and only 1.3 tenths off of Massey. I won't be surprised if he feels though there's a bit more time out there. Meanwhile, Matthias Pettinger, 3rd fastest of Pros there, down in 10th place. These drivers being separated by elite drivers in the overall qualifying standings right now, but Pettinger, to be fair, all fired up after his first win of the season at Mugello, and who can blame for that? He wants to try and make it another one, or at least finish on the podium. Whereas Rene Rosler, meanwhile, full fastest of the Pros, down in 13th place. And this is definitely not going in the right direction if he wants to try and steal away that crown from Benjamin Massey, because the first thing he's got to do, he's got to beat him, and the second thing he's got to do is beat him by a considerable margin. And well, starting 4th versus what could be him first is going to be at the opposite direction of what he wants to achieve. But if that's where Pro is, then let's come to Inter and tell you a little bit about them. And right now, here is the Interclass provisional pole sitter of none other than Pinto Sommerlevente, running a special livery on the car by looks things. And well, that's a very lovely livery there, I must say. Not just because it says "Thank you SimRacing International" on the side of it, but also he's decided to go for a Japanese tribute livery there with what is the flag of the rising sun on the side of the car. And also, I think there's some other monikers with regards to Japanese culture, as he does give us a bit of a close-up there. Really appreciate that. Thank you, Pinter. That wasn't a mistake by chance, was it? As he made his way through at Degda 1 and Degda 2, of course, ran a bit too wide. They're carrying too much speed, and well, a little bit of sarcasm never goes too far away. But as he brings himself back on, all clear of that, and we're very grateful for him running that livery. And he really has been a great star in the Interclass all season. He's had a great fan group behind him as well in YouTube chat. But as he continues to try and push a pole position here in the Interclass, 21st overall, well, John Ludbrook, meanwhile, in 24th, the second fastest. He's currently parked in the pit lane. Remember, he is Inter champion. He does not have any pressure on him, but he wants to do everything he can to help the GPX Simsport Onyx team out and bring them home a championship trophy. James Bostock is currently the 3rd fastest. You see him a little bit behind there, obscured by Justin Noel's car, but we promise you he is there. And we'll 3rd fastest into just ahead of Brian Beardsworth by 1.3 tenths. And Bruno Key, meanwhile, makes one around, currently the 5th fastest in 29th. Now, we do want to talk a little bit about his livery as well, because there is a special livery on his car. Now, if you're wondering about this livery, well, firstly, it's a dedication to the Sakura blossoms, indeed the Sakura trees, which blossom every year in the spring. And if you've never seen a Sakura blossom, I can definitely recommend, if you ever get the chance to go see it, do so. It's one of the most beautiful things you can see with regards to wild nature. But as we do see the WePay 300 esports driver make his way on through, well, I did ask him about the livery a couple of weeks ago. He did give me a preview of the livery that he would be running as part of the season finale, and he was telling me about the fact that the livery has been designed by a Yusen design. And now Yusen has been working with the team, a very young man in the world of sim racing and also motorsport. He's very young and has a great passion for racing. And in his spare time, he enjoys both karting and sim racing, in addition to focusing on his school studies. But with regards to the livery itself, well, this is really where Yusen has absolutely poured his heart into it. And well, he's been making the liveries for the WePay 300 esports team all the way through the season, and indeed does so in all the competitions they race in, if not at least at most of them. And he's very skilled at producing both unique and special livery designs. And well, it's a lovely livery, must say there. And Yusen, if you are tuning in right now, well, I can tell you one thing, you've absolutely nailed this livery, and I'm sure both the locality, but also everyone tuning in can agree it is one of the real standout liveries down the grid. They're all lovely liveries on the car, but some of them are real gems, and WePay 300 esports stake. Even if they don't win the race, if Bruno Key does not win in the Interclass, well, he's definitely a winner there when it comes to the livery. Indeed, pixel precise livery, and well, all thanks to Yusen Design. But as he heads onwards, well, right now he needs a little bit more if he wants to try and make his way in towards what will be the top 3 of the Interclass in qualifying, albeit coming up towards Beardsworth and Bostock. And the gap right now, 2 tenths between the trio, albeit Key only 6 thousandths behind Beardsworth, and Andrew Fellows a further 10th behind. Fellows right now, I think, hoping there's a bit more time to be found out there, because his qualifying performances, they have been mixed this season, to be fair to him. At some points, he's been very strong. At other points, he's not been as strong. And I think his fortunes have flowed a little bit with his teammate John Ludbrook. However, there has been this weird pendulum effect whereby if Ludbrook's doing incredibly well on the day, so does Fellows typically. But as soon as things start going a little bit off kilter or off pace for Ludbrook, suddenly it seems as though Fellows' differential becomes much more drastic. He starts to look a lot further down the order. Now, that's not, to be fair to say, he's a bad driver by any any means, but he's openly admitted it himself. He really has been following the footsteps of John Lodbrok throughout this season, and right now he'll be hoping he can channel his own inner Lodbrok to a degree as he heads up towards Kobayashi hairpin. The corner, of course, known as turn 11 by its numeracy, but it is Kobayashi hairpin. The fact it was renamed to that in dedication of Kamui Kobayashi, still alive today, of course, racing as part of the Toyota World Endurance Championship team as part of their prototype package, but dedicated to him when he was a Formula 1 driver for making, I do believe, a grand total, I think it was 7 overtakes in a single race there, all the way back, and if I remember correctly, the 2015 Japanese Grand Prix, although don't quote me on those years. I just know the fact he did hold the overtaking record for the most overtakes done in a single race at that corner in Formula 1 at the time, and that's why it got renamed locally, and that name has stuck internationally. But as we stick to seeing our drivers make the way on through, well, we owe you an onboard lap or two. Who are we going to get it with? Well, how about we try and get it with this man, our Elite Championship leader, the favourite, and the man who definitely has been one of the fastest out there, as he pulls off flying for a brief moment. I think he's getting himself all ready to attack. He's on an out lap, but he's about to go on to a flying lap. It is, of course, Mirko Bortolotti. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's see the magician at work as he comes down the hill and in towards a new lap. To build up the speed here in his Ferrari 488 GTE Evo as he heads across the timeline, heading down towards turn number 1. As he does so, well, the last Ferrari V8 race cars makes his way through Suzuka. Looks to his left-hand side, and in fact, back it off there quite early as he does so, but just carrying the speed gently into the corner. And we're coming through turns 1 and 2 here. Nice late apex, and now building up the speed. And in towards the right, and then the left-hander. It's going to be at turns 3 and 4 here. Left into right he goes, and rolling off the corners here. It's all about being gentle as you make your way up the hill. Going through turn number 5, off camber on the rise, and now into a downhill off camber right-hander at turn number 6. Keep it nice and tight, and then keep the car over to the right to open up turn 7, and that's the S's complete, and with it sector 1. Now powering his way up towards Degner's 1 and 2. Here it's all about quick fire direction change. He'll bring the car over to the left hand side, look to his brake mark. It will be at just before the 50 board. Dab the brakes, drop a gear into 4th, and now into Degner 2. Braking there about 120 meters on corner apex down to 2nd gear, and now flat out on corner exit. You can go up onto that exit curve as long as you keep 2 balls in the white lines. Now up towards turn number 11 for the Kinker 10. Braking there as he comes to the apex of turn number 10, all the way down to 1st gear. Roll off the brakes at the apex, and now feed the throttle in and build up the speed. And as he does so, flat out now all the way through turn number 12, and then up towards Spoon Curve. Here coming through the double right apex of turn number 12. This is all about managing the car and shedding as little speed as possible. As he looks for the escape road on the right, that'll be his brake marker about 200 meters from apex, and going to the first part of turn 13, lets the car roll up onto the exit curbing, and now going later then mounts the curve very slightly just to give him a little bit of extra rotation. Next exiting out, that exit curve is so sensitive to off tracks, but Bortolotti keeping it right within track limits. Now down the west straight, and as he heads in towards 130R, we'll just listen in. Does he commit to full throttle? It's a brief lift, but otherwise he carries all the speed. No braking there at all. 151 miles an hour at the apex, and now sharp onto the brakes here for Casio Triangle Chicane. Right into left, down to 1st gear. 53 miles an hour at the apexes. And exiting out, it's been an absolutely buttery smooth lap here for Mirko Bortolotti. Not the quickest out there, but I think he feels though there's even more time to go as he comes to that timeline. What's it going to be? And the answer is going to be not an improvement, but close to it to a degree, although 58.023. I think right now there's a lot more time perhaps he can find, albeit there perhaps taking it nice and easy, but still a good lap and wonderful one to ride aboard with, and we look forward to seeing plenty more from the 263 driver as he builds up to his next one. But from him we look to Marinko Jordanovski, well, currently teammate and the fastest driver out there in the 214, and we're coming over the rise through turns 5 and 6. Well, right now 35,000 still the delta between the two of them, but who's putting some surprises out there? Of course, Jordanovski, he has been the second fastest typically to Bortolotti, and if it has not been Bortolotti on pole, it normally has been this man. Well, further down the order, we can tell you one of the biggest surprises of them all is Adrian Vlock here, right now down in 17th place, 11th in the elite class for HTS Racing. And well, the Ford GT driver perhaps not as quick as he would like to be here. Normally we do see him qualifying around about 7th or 8th in the elite class, but indeed out of sorts here today. But the Ford GT isn't perhaps going to be the strongest car here, and the reason for that, if you're wondering, is the fact that at this circuit, well, the Ford GT strengths are in its application of downforce through quick fire direction changes, particularly medium and high speed corners such as those you would see at Road Atlanta. Here, the nature of those direction changes when they are quick, such as with the S's of turns 3 through to 6, it's more towards medium to low speed, which is where the Ford GT doesn't get to use its downforce as effectively, but also we do have some longer stretches of road here where essentially you have to go all in on the downforce on the Ford GT, or alternatively, you do do have to sacrifice all the rear wing, but you lose performance through the corners. It really is a bit of a balancing act there, so therefore we can expect our 4 GTE drivers to perhaps not quite be on the pace compared to some of their rivals. Although saying that, Ryan Walker currently in the pit lane at 7th fastest of the pros, exactly where he normally would expect to be, and he's chasing the top 5. The CG Boyce at 8th place behind him, all the way down 26th, would also say that things aren't quite clicking his way. And we do have 33 cars here. The currently lowest one of them all is Craig Tillotson, who we see parked up there. But as he does sit and waits to go, we do say hello to a few of you in the YouTube chat. And how could I forget? We haven't said hello to all of you guys and girls in the YouTube chat yet. Including none other than Kitty's Mad, who says good evening, and good evening to you, Kitty. And saying shout out to Craig Tillotson tonight, hoping for a strong finish to the season. We also do say hello there to none other than Time Consumer, who says he's looking forward to this. And well, we're very happy to have you with us, good sir. We also say hello there to Rano Esport, looking forward to seeing Kratos in action tonight, and also watching from the sidelines. That's none other than Kevin Smith, I do believe. And well, unfortunately, Kevin not able to be here today, of course. Now, I didn't talk about this earlier on, but the fact of the matter is, I do believe, and I think he's okay with me mentioning this, I think he has been expecting the birth of his child today from his missus. And well, I'm not quite sure if that's happened, indeed. We found out quite early this morning that's what he was expecting. But hopefully all has gone well for both mother, baby, and for Kevin as well. And Kevin, well, if the birth has occurred, well, very best luck if it has not, and in the meantime I'm sure you'll fill us in either way. But as we also do say hello there once again to none other Bitcoin Satoshi Crypto, who says all want a season 2, and very happy, and we'll see so many of you absolutely buzzed up for season 2 there. As Rhino Esports also says that it seems as though the pace has gone from the track as qualifying has progressed, and indeed it does seem as though this circuit right now has lost a lot of pace out of it, and Suzuka is one of those circuits that definitely loses pace the more time that's spent on it, although it can be a very touchy circuit. As we are seeing Martin Stattmann there at 54.742. He was purple in the middle sector briefly, but otherwise the rest of the lap has not come together. And now trying to turn around his fellow BMW driver behind. That's going to be none other than, I think that's going to be Rene Rüssler behind him. Yes, it is indeed. And Rüssler right now hoping that perhaps this is going to help him move forward. Well, as the 107 driver makes his way up for the S's right now, he'll be grateful for the tow, not necessarily at this point in the lap, but particularly when he does come out of the hairpin at turn at number 11, and suddenly the circuit takes a bit of a faster turn and there's some more straights. But as he roared his way up, well, very happy to hear from Rhino Esports Kevin Smith to say that baby has arrived and mum and baby are fast asleep. That's absolutely fantastic news, and on behalf of the SimRacing International community, Kevin, congratulations to you and your missus on the birth of your child. I'm very happy to hear all are well, and well, hopefully you won't have too many sleepless nights with regards to the little one keeping you up. As well, meanwhile, that's going to be a sleepless moment there for the GazX Racing guys as they decide to park up there, not improving, and the checker flag comes out on this qualifying session, and as all these drivers roar the way around and going for a turn at number 12 in towards 13. Well, now they've got to absolutely do the job. Meanwhile, Adrian Vlot across the line. I don't think he's going to get another lap in, but he's not going to improve. He stays 17th at the fastest there, so he's going to go on to a cool-down lap now. Benjamin Massey comes on through. Currently the provisional pole sitter in Pro. And, well, 6th overall, he does not improve either. The lap times are definitely fallen away. And right now, he's going to cool things down. We are seeing some partial improvements from drivers, but it doesn't seem over the entirety of the lap. As being Olivia Dean, currently 8th fastest overall, or 7th in elite. We make his way into the pit lane there, even though he was on a personal best in sector 1 and also subsector 4. So therefore for Dean, feeling as though the rest of the lap has not been a very good one. And I do wonder perhaps whether the wind has gone against our drivers as time has gone on. Perhaps they're starting to go into a headwind heading up towards 130R, and if so, if it is quite a significant headwind, that might be holding them back. We look to the weather on the right hand side of your screen. Well, we only have a gentle 2-mile-an-hour wind at the moment, but 2 miles an hour on 1, it can still be strong. But meanwhile, track temperature wise, 27 degrees centigrade today, an ambient of 19 degrees centigrade, so therefore it's not too hot a circuit. It's actually quite decent for Suzuka, although the circuit does have a habit of generating some very high track temperatures every so often. And indeed, when the track temperatures are high, this circuit becomes a bit of a proverbial ice rink. As Albert Frisch there makes his way into the gravel trap, he decides enough's enough. But it does seem as though the weather right now is quite idyllic, but meanwhile the driver's not quite able to improve, as Mirko Bortolotti, currently 2nd fastest. Well, he's on his final lap here. Can the Ferrari driver and the 7-time winner find his way to pole position, or will he be locked to that 2nd place spot on the grid with Marinko Jordanovski there taking the pole position? And the answer is it's into the pits there for Bortolotti. So for this final race of the season, it will be Marinko Jordanovski who takes the pole position in elite and overall by the looks of things, and he does so by 35 thousandths in the end, one of the smallest margins of the season, but whether it's 1,000 for a second, pole is pole position, and he'll be very pleased with that. As all drivers do cool them down, and we're qualifying complete, ladies and gentlemen. Well, now it's time to get ready to go racing, albeit of course we do have the 5-minute warm-up first, which will give our drivers an opportunity to just cool their nerves or get the adrenaline pumping. As we do say hello there to JG, who says, good evening all, here to cheer on Brian Beardsworth, let's go. And indeed, very happy to have you with us, JG. Hope you're doing well. And Brian Beardsworth, to be fair, we haven't really talked about him so far. He's currently 4th in the interclass, and that's where he's going to start. 28th overall. Decent qualifying points, to be fair. He's right in amongst John Lebret and Bruno Key, and also James Bostock a bit ahead, but Pinto Sommerlevente has really dominated the interqualifying session, taking up pole position by 7/10. My good lord, the man is absolutely possessed to win here today, and well, for Sommerlevente, he'll be hoping that he can now convert this into a glorious victory. But as the circuit cools on down, well, we're going to cool on down with regards to talking about qualifying now and get ourselves set for that warm-up session, and then of course the transition to the race. So we now go into our 5-minute warm-up session. Opportunity for some of our drivers to perhaps take a little bit of a cool down, perhaps go get themselves some liquid refreshment, or even take that all-important bathroom break. And of course, if you haven't got yourself liquid refreshment right now, it is Friday evening, of course, which means you might be partial, if you're not working tomorrow, to an alcoholic beverage of some sort. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to have alcohol in the commentary booth. I'm only allowed to have pure water, but to be fair, H2O is always good, and it's quite addictive, to be fair, as water. I want to tell you one thing, definitely feel free to get yourself a bit of an alcoholic beverage, or a beverage of your choosing. It doesn't have to be alcoholic, to be fair. It can be a cup of tea for all you dream to do so. And also, don't worry about getting some snacks as well. You've got time to do it. If you want to get yourself some popcorn, some chips, throw something in the microwave, albeit I wouldn't go turn the oven on because that's probably not going to be long enough, 5 minutes. But as everyone now gets themselves set for this one, we do say hello to a few more of you there, including from the pit lane, Justin Noel, who says, don't like this track, driver excuses are being slow, albeit Justin Noel actually putting in some qualifying laps this time, I do believe. And, well, the theme of the season for Justin has been he's been starting from the back, but he's actually really given us an insight for every round. An elite driver starting at the very back of the field, and we've seen him have to carve his way through the field, not necessarily last the first challenges, but just showing us how far you can go, and also showing his ability to avoid incidents and be smart battling with drivers at other classes. Remember, there are no points for overall finishing position in this series. It's all about class finishing position. But even so, if you are an elite driver and then you find yourself behind Benjamin Massey, for example, as we do see there, the car of Rene Roster following Massey on around, well, obviously both in pro class, but if you're an elite behind these two, you might have to fight your way past them if you want to go hunting after your elite rival. So therefore, you've got to be clever. You've got to use racecraft and ingenuity to your advantage, or you've got to be smart on that strategy. We also do say hello there to Craig Tilson, or none other than CTIL34. Well, Craig, it's been a pleasure. I'm very grateful to have been in the content booth, and a huge thank you to SimRacing International for giving me the opportunity. Indeed, I can tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, if we didn't bring you a season 2 of this, I'll definitely say right now, in terms of the sim racing world, it has been a dream to be able to cover this series. Indeed, I've been so eager on a personal level. Sorry, I shouldn't talk about myself, but please allow me to do so. I'm sure you can excuse me. I have been waiting for the best part of several months for a GT League, and I'm so happy we've been able to make this happen. The turnout has been incredible. The season, the quality of the racing, all of it's been fantastic. And the fact that we've got a season 2 on the cards, so I'll tell you one thing, it makes me really smile knowing that come the end of March, my highlight of the week is going to be back once again. And I don't say that about a lot of series often, but I can definitely tell you that the GTE Championship here at SimRacing International is very much up there as one of the best I've ever covered in my 5 years of sim racing commentary so far, and long may it continue. But as we also do see, all about the gyro there. It says Suzuka is our team's test track. Excellent for sorting out the car. And indeed, Suzuka, a very much loved circuit for the fact it's got so much variety around here. Indeed, many would liken it in a way to Japan's equivalent of what would be, if I have to think about it now, the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya, albeit perhaps this circuit a bit more entertaining than the Spanish circuit, given the fact, firstly, the wonderful figure of 8, but also it just has perhaps a little bit more of a natural flow, and also the fact that when it comes to racing around here, quite similar. We will expect some processional racing today. We should warn you of that. Much like, let's say, the Spanish circuit, indeed some other circuits we've raced at, like Mugello last time out, we will expect that track position is going to be hard to change, but drivers will be brave, and the race start could be quite critical, and the pit stop we are expecting over the course of our 60-minute race today is also going to be a big factor in this one. We've got no more 90 minutes racing. We've only had 2 rounds of that for this season. We are with a 60-minute race today, but to be fair, in an hour, so much can happen, and we're only 1.5 minutes away from finding out what exactly is going to happen. And well, I can see there, Bitcoin Satoshi Crypto saying, time to drink. Well, I'm already down to half a glass of water here, so it's going to have to last over what is the full 1 hour. But I'm going to have to take a quick sip now. And I think there's going to be a running joke at some point. In fact, it was done, a little bit of an anecdote here. It was done on a stream about 3 years ago when I was starting out. Was, as many of you have commentated on the fact that I don't seem to take a breath or an opportunity to take a glass of water. There was a running joke on a stream I did do for charity at one point. Essentially, you could redeem a hydration a redemption feature whereby essentially every time somebody redeemed it, I would have to drink water. Albeit, let's just say I ran out of my glass of water as quickly as the first 5 minutes of the stream, because that's all people were telling me to do was to hydrate. And let's just say I needed to go to the bathroom straight after that broadcast, and it was only for about an hour, if I remember correctly. But either way, enough about me. It's not about me today. It's about our drivers, as Pedro Luis da Silva is currently the fastest in this final warm-up session. But to be fair, it means nothing right now, this, other than it passes the time, gives our drivers an opportunity to get themselves set, and the real business is just around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, because we do see the Portuguese driver for GPX SimSport Onyx making his way up the rise and on down. We're to be feeling confident here. Indeed, they all are, because this season finale is about to go down in history, much like our previous 9 rounds. Here we go to the grid then, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for round 10 of 10 in the SimRacing International GTE Championship Season 1 on iRacing. Who will be our final winners of the season? Who will take the Elite, the Pro, and the Teams Championships? Let's find out. And so as they make their way to the grid for the final time this season, this is how our 33 drivers will line up. And it's Marinko Jordanovski who steals away pole position from the 7-time winner Mirko Bortolotti, doing so by 35 thousandths. The GazX Racing JRM driver now, could he bring on home that win and spoil the party for the Italian driver, who would be going for 8 wins out of 8 rounds participated in. Still, either way, it's the two sister team drivers. They line up on the front row together. Behind them, it will none other be than Tim Perry for Altitude 3M Esports. Another strong qualifying performance, only a 10th for pole, and in turn, only what was 9 thousandths clear of Miguel Leon for Enosis Esports. And then Martin Stattmann begins the day 5th there for GazX Racing MCM, ahead of the pro pole sitter of Benjamin Massey. Good effort there from the Briton for Inox Motorsport, and in the end, only half a 10th ahead of Pedro Luis da Silva, who starts in 7th for GPX SimSport Onyx. Watch out behind him, Olivier Dean there, looking to end the season on high. The Frenchman for Cube Racing Team in the 280, head of Jan Lintz for GazX Racing JRM, second of your pros there, one of his best qualifying points of the season. Then we have Albert Pritch for Enosis Esports completing that top 10. Behind the Spaniard, it is then going to be the Austrian of Christian Ablas for GazX Racing MCM, ahead of Matthias Pettinger, his fellow countryman, but third of the pros out there for Inox Motorsport. Mark Hutchison starts the day in 13th for Altitude 3M Esports, head of Rene Rüssler for GazX Racing JRM, and there's a lot of work to do if he wants to steal that crown away from Massey. Then it's going to be an all-pro row number 8 with Mikhail Abasek for Inox Motorsport, just ahead of Angel Adonis for Enosis Esports, with his worst qualifying points of the season there, only managing 6th in the class, 16th overall. That's a surprise. Adrian Block's just behind there, the Australian driver HS Racing 1, ahead of Ryan Walker for Altitude 3M Esports, and completing your top 20, it's Chad Henson for Los Dos Bravado, head of Sylvain Depeche for Cube Racing Team. Outside the top 20, 21st, it is going to be none other than what will be Russ Green for HS Racing 2, ahead of Pinto Sommerlevente, your Interpol sitter there, with a final pole position of the season. Can he convert it into a final win? Justin Noel and Flavio Tiefri line up at row 12 with the ID5 competition drive, then being followed up by James Bostock for GPX SimSport Onyx. John Ludbrook joins him in the company for the sister GPX SimSport Xenon team, 26th, and it's going to be Cedric Boyce in 27th for Cube Racing Team, ahead of Brian Beardsworth, the privateer. Bruno Key starts 29th for WePay 300 Esports, ahead of Andrew Fellows for GPX SimSport Xenon, and then it will be for the final 2 rows of the grid. Firstly, Brandon White starting 31st for ID5 competition, ahead of Chris Susky for China Shop Racing, and it's going to be Craig Tillerson completing your 33 starters. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the formation lap is almost complete already. You see the field there all tailoring its way in towards the Casio Triangle chicane. As our 33 drivers snake the way on through, we look down to the close trackside cameras, in particular to this man, Marinko Jordanovski, as he comes through the final bend and gets us ready for 60 minutes of racing action in our Suzuka finale. And it's lights down, away we go for our final race of the season. They all fan out and roar the way down towards turn number 1. Jordanovski gets a good start. Meanwhile, look to the right, you see Bortolotti immediately making sure that he does not move. He wants to cover off his teammate and make sure they're safe. Miguel Leon trying to attack around the outside there. Tim Perry, a brave move to start with. He's got the confidence in the tyres. Perry's going to go too wide here into the S's, but it's going to be Leon who gets ahead. A bit of contact between the two, but then Miguel Leon does squeeze on through. Benjamin Massey under pressure from Jan Lintz immediately. Lintz on the attack. We can see Olivier D trying to squeeze his way out the inside, but now too wide they come in towards turn 5. A little bit of contact there. Jan Linz forced wide, and as a result, that's going to fall in backwards into the hands of Albert Prisch. Further back, we see Angel Ordonez going on the offensive, but being squeezed at the apex by Miguel Abasek, keeping him behind. And Ordonez right now trying to make room. Oh, there's contact between Ordonez and Abasek. Abasek went deep, and Ordonez tapped him on the rear, and it sends Miguel Abasek all the way down the order. Meanwhile, in the interclass, well, we've got James Bostock into the lead of the class. Where is Pinto Sobolavente? He's just behind him. You can see him there with what is Sylvain Depeche being caught between the two of them. So a slow start there for the privateer. James Bostock right now going all in, knowing this could be his one chance to take a win this season. As they come up in towards Kobayashi here for the first time of asking, will we see any moves on drivers here? Well, we do see a bit of too wide. That's going to be Chad Henson on the inside there. Right, Walker, there's contact from multiple drivers. Cars being turned around. It's pandemonium. More cars going around. And the GMXs for Onyx team, they can't make it up. Neither can Xenon. And James Bostock's lost the front to his car. Oh, my good Lord. He was leading for a brief moment. And then suddenly, Pinto Sobolavente retakes the lead of the interclass. There's drama. And the GMX Sim Sport, the one hairpin, has completely upended 3 of the drivers' races just like that. We're going to need to get a replay of that when we can. That's drama. That's disaster for them. And well, meanwhile, Russ Green falls all the way to the back of the field. He was the HS Racing BMW, turned sideways at the hairpin, and I suspect he was tapped on the rear end, and that sent him on around. But meanwhile, coming towards the end of the open lap, with Jordanovski still ahead of Bortolotti, coming through 130 on to Casio, and we'll now on towards lap number 2, and plenty more they'll go. But after this now, things will settle down quite quickly, and they'll start to form into packs. Well, not quite so here when you do see Ordonez trying to fight his way past Rene Rosler. Now up in the 4th place here, Ordonez. He's got a bit between his teeth here, albeit, of course, with that little bit of tap to Abasek's car coming through the S on the open lap. You have to imagine if he's got any damage on the car or not. But anyway, coming down towards turn number 1, we'll find out about that. As meanwhile, Adrian Block looking around the outside here, battling with Rene Rosler. Can't quite find it with the HS Racing 1 driver. He's in a little bit fighty here after a slow qualifying session, but right now the pace is coming. Justin Earl, meanwhile, started 23rd place, so the privateer's moved his way up to 18th already. So the American driver's making some good progress here. He'll want a bit more than that. Ryan Walker just behind, and then we do see your inter-leader here in 20th place of Lente. And right now he's got Flavin Tiff and Sylvain Depeche behind, but a 3.5 second gap to Bruno Key, who you'll see there right over the crest. There is the Sakura livery We Pay 300 esports machine. It's got Chris Susky close behind, and Susky, what a start from him. He's come all the way from 7th place in the interclass, all the way up into 3rd. Can he hold on to it for trying to shop racing? We look forward to seeing him try, because he's yet to achieve a podium this season, but he's come close on a couple of occasions, particularly, of course, in Mexico, where his pace was absolutely staggering, but he did go for extra tyres in the pit stop, and it cost him dear. Ryan Beardsworth battling with Craig Tillotson. Craig Tillotson started at the very back of the field, and that's actually worked out for him in the fact that he's been able to avoid the drama. He snuck his way up through as Mikael Abasek and Cedric Boyce queue up behind the inter-drivers here, and there could be some more change of foot in due order. But meanwhile, we look to Jan Linz, who's got Albert Prisch try to look for a mover on the right-hander of turn number 12. To why they come into spoon curve. Linz goes defensive there. Meanwhile, very late on the brakes is Mark Hutchinson, so it's Ablas and Pettinger. They're all right now trying to outbrake each other early on before they really have to settle into rhyme and rhythm here. And we're coming up the west straight right now. We can see a bit of a look there. That's going to be Pettinger looking around the outside to inside. There's Zablasa, 2 wide, they make the way up in towards the left-hander, and right now we're 2 wide at the very front. That's Lynch still hold off Albert Prisch, we should say, and Christian Ablasa here fighting side by side with Pettinger, with Angel Ordonez just behind watching on. And it's an absolutely hungry pack of Corvettes here as they all come in towards Casio. 2 wide there, Christian Ablasa on inside to outside, and Matthias Pettinger will get past him and hold on, but now Ordonez is going to think about making a move as Rene Rosler watches just behind them, and we ride on board with him. So coming down the start finish straight here, that BMW's got a lot of straight line speed, but it's too short a straight to really use it. But look at them all, literally scrambling here like ants, looking one way then the other. It's hard to make sense of it all, but Matthias Pettinger defending as Miguel Ordonez looks up the inside there. Corvette on Corvette. It's going to be the pro driver out the inside, the elite driver. 2 wide coming out of 2, up towards 3 they go. And the NOCC Sports driver right now trying to go around the outside to the inside here. Can he get it? No, he can't. He just falls slightly wide. There was some understeer, and indeed he falls backwards as Rosler and Vlok now queue up behind. And Chad Henson also the back of this group. But do keep in mind they're all elite drivers chasing pros here. Justin Noel is there as well. They're all fighting at Vlok, Hansen and also Noel for 11th place in the elite class. There's some valuable points between these drivers, albeit now they've really got to be up to the task. But meanwhile, whilst they're starting to fight further down the order, we've got a little bit of change going as we do see John Ludbrook catch up to Andrew Fellows, and we will get a replay shortly to explain what exactly happened to them on the open laps. It definitely was a bit of a scramble there midway through the lap, but of course as these drivers get on the recovery drive, and particularly for GPX is what Zenon's pair of Ludbrook and Fellows, right now this is not going in the right direction if they want to try and take the team's championship crown. But back to the front of the field we come, and Marinko Jordanovski right now leading by 6 tenths over Mirko Bortolotti, and it's Miguel Leon in at 3rd. Right now the NOCC Sports driver who got past Tim Perry at the start, go through the S's, through turns 3 and 4 in particular, and Perry's fallen back to 4th, but the Altitude 3M Esports driver just watching at a distance right now, and knowing to himself there's plenty of time to get himself forward in this race, and fuel saving could be key. Martin Stattmann is 5th, there's Pedro Luis da Silva in 6th. The GPXs were on its driver, having gained 1 place at the very start. Olivia Dean the same, they're up into 7th. And then we do see Benjamin Massey, the pro leader, currently running in 8th place ahead of Albert Brish. And then Jan Lintz completes the top 10. They're in 10th, second of your pros. But a bit further behind, we're starting to see a bit of split in the field as Mark Hutchins bolting away here from Pedro Ablasa Adonez, Russell, Vlok, Henson, Noah, Walker. It's a long queue of cars here, and Ryan Walker finds himself at the very back of it for Altitude Prep Esports, the Scotsman, as he watches them all cover down. And right now feeds himself, he's got to run with this group and just simply enjoy the ride at this time and try and save some fuel and some tyre life where he can. That could prove very valuable. Meanwhile, change of foot here for second place. That is Miguel Leon up the inside of Bortolotti, so moves into second, going through turn number 1. Turns 1 and 2 are categorised as turn 1 in terms of the chord name, and as they make their way through the S's sequence, well, Bortolotti tucks in behind right now and thinking to himself, how does he get involved here? And well, the answer may not be as straightforward as it would seem. Somebody would suspect that perhaps he's fallen behind there intentionally to save some fuel. But right on board here, indeed, our top 5 right now separated by only 2.5 seconds in totality, and Bortolotti right in the middle of it right now. But of course, he has proven his Ferrari he can do a lot of time management and a huge amount of fuel saving. It's no wonder why, even though this Ferrari arguably is one of the trickier cars to drive in GTE, if not the hardest to drive, given its propensity to be very sensitive to temperatures on its tyres and brakes. Right now, Bortolotti has been able to show that even in the Ferrari, if you can manage the car well, you are going to come away with a very good result. We'll see what he's going to be able to do here, as now he falls behind the 2 leading Corvettes. He's surrounded by Corvettes, albeit it's a BMW in 5th at the moment, so therefore we have got 3 different manufacturers inside the top 5, and Pedro de Silva is trying to make his way to the top 5 as soon as he can in his Porsche 911 RSR. But further back, we've got 2 wide here between Rene Rosler and Adrian Vlok. Vlok trying to go outside to inside into Spoon. Chad Henson on the brakes very early there, so decided to back off. Rosler on the outside. I don't think there was contact between, I think Rosler understeered wide, and the GazX Racing JRM driver does give up the place. They're using the runoff area to re-grip the car, but that BMW right now, understandably, quite heavy on its brakes. It's got the weakest brakes of the GT class, albeit currently we have got a whole new balance of performance coming in the 2026 Season 2 update. We'll talk more about that at the very end of today's broadcast. But right now, this BMW definitely not the sturdiest on the brakes, but very quick on the straight. You can see how close he's getting there in the toe, coming in towards 130R, been in with so much speed. Unfortunately, he's got all the speed, but he's got nowhere to deploy it. Meanwhile, Justin Noel still ahead of Ryan Walker at this time. But indeed, all these drivers very close together ever still, as Jan Lintz, meanwhile, has had to come to the pit lane due to damage on the car. So it's been an instant for Jan Lintz, and we will get you a replay where we can of that. But these cars are all making their way down towards turn 1. Adrian Vlok right now with Rosler so close behind him. But I think the Austrian driver here trying to work with the Australian and try to make sure he doesn't put any pressure on him. As meanwhile, that's Olivia Dean parked up on the side of the road. He just waited there, gets himself back on the road. He rejoins there as safely as he possibly can. Does very well to do so. And the Cube Racing team drivers had some sort of incident at turns 1 and 2 where it's self-inflicted or not. We're not sure. But he's gone around there and had to fall all the way down to 18th place. At one point, of course, looking very comfortable inside the top 10 over in the elite class. But now he's got all the work to do in that Ferrari. And, well, he's given himself double the work. And that's just win the opening 8.5 minutes this race. I can imagine what he's going to have to do down the remaining 50.5 or so. As Justin Noel, meanwhile, finds himself under pressure of Ryan Walker, albeit the pro driver here. I think trying to send the message to the American, which is, can you politely just pick up the pace a little bit, please? We're going through the dangers right now. Well, no change between these drivers as we change the pace here and go back in time to see how exactly this race started. We need some of the big moments from the opening few laps. So this was when we did go green flag race in the field all together, grouping up there, and then suddenly they were able to drop the hammer and go. As you'll see the green flag on the left-hand side start waving, and well, you can see immediately there the Enosis Esports cars on the right all fanning out, trying to look for potential moves. That was Presh and Adonez. As they came down towards the open bend, well, we had this brilliant battle between Tim Perry and none other than what was Miguel Leon. And in the end, it was Perry who did lose out in the 2 wide, albeit very firm fighting between them. But in the end, Miguel Leon just wanted that little bit more. Then we had this happen for Mikhail Abasek. This was going up towards turn number 7, and in the end made his way through 6 into 7. A bit of a close up there, concertina effect, and it was a tap to the rear. That was Angel Donner's tap to the rear and sent him all the way to the gravel, and a frustrating moment for him. But then at the hairpin, absolute pandemonium broke out, because this was all the drivers making their way up in the blimp camera initially, and then we come down to the closer camera, and what we see there, John Ludbrook going onto the brakes. Car comes barreling behind. I think that was Brian Beardsworth that did tap him. Meanwhile, whatever happened there to Russ Green was a separate incident, but Ludbrook being turned, and well, that was his story, that we see a car coming back out the left-hand side of your picture. And meanwhile, what exactly happened to Russ Green? So this was your HS Racing 2 car from Australia going into that braking zone. As he did so, we got caught up behind initially. There was the contact. That was with James Bostock. That explains what happened to Bostock's front bumper. Sylvain Depechenian had to take evasive action, but there was a tap, and that explains it all. Brandon White had to stop the car, as we did have Andrew Fellows go around, and that fills in all the question marks we had. This is the on board from Andrew Fellows, who was right behind Brian Beardsworth at the time of this happening. So they went onto the brakes. Big lock up there for Beardsworth. Fellows tried to go all the way around the outside, got the power down. Looks like he might have actually been tapped there, Fellows, to be fair. Not 100% certain of that, but that's the story that's happened. And then we had an even bigger moment a little bit later as he had to get himself turned on around. We had this brief moment for Ryan Walker on lap number 2. This was Walker coming on through 130R and showing you how easy it is to run wide on the exit of the corner. And he made his way onwards, and in the end carried so much speed and well bounced off the curb and then brought his way back on. And somehow I think getting away without a slowdown penalty for that one. Then we had this for Jan Lintz on lap number 4. He was at the time running second in the pro class through turns 1 and 2. Carried a lot of speed in towards the second corner, and the rear of the car looking good. And in the end took a bit too much exit curb, and the car bounced off the curb and into the barrier. My goodness, the GazX Racing JRM driver. And we'll get the feeling that car not set up very well to run over curbs and very quickly having to tow to the pits as a result of that shunt. But then we'd have to go back to lap number 5 to see something very similar happen to Olivier Dean and the Cube Racing team, albeit through turn 1 he went safely. Turn number 2, touched the curb a little bit there, onto the brakes. The rear of the car started to step loose. A lot of steering lock there and a rear that wasn't settled. And for Olivier Dean, he had to park up the car and couldn't go anywhere. But with that, we've also just had this happen to him. So from bad, it goes to worse. Same set of corners here for Dean. Through turn 1, took all the curb that time. Through turn number 2, car snaking one way, then the other. And in the end, I think so broke on the car there, and he's had to tow it to the pit lane. So Dean not too happy with the state of the car. And we make our way back to your live racing, ladies and gentlemen. Well, still more to come, no doubt about it. And well, at the very front of the field, Marinko Jordanovski, he might be leading after taking at pole position, but look at the line of cars he's building up behind him. And that is Miguel Leon, who right now, despite the fact he's missing a little bit of paint to the front of the car, I think that's just simply wear with regards to rubbish being picked up off the circuit, rather than him tapping anyone with that. Well, right now, here we're ahead of Mirko Bortolotti and Tim Perry, and it is right now a very close lead group. But Miguel Leon definitely wants to return to winning ways if he can. He, of course, had that infamous showdown at Road America much earlier in the season in the first of our 2 90-minute endurance races between himself and Pedro Luis da Silva that came down to very fine margins, and in the end it's all about who was able to protect their tyres the better of the two, and Miguel Leon was the one to come away with that huge result as a result of their brilliant battle. Making the way through turn number 12, and Marinko Jordanovski right now doing everything right, but remember, he's got no car to work with in front of him, so therefore if he wants to do any fuel saving, he's going to do quite a bit of lift and coast and hope that the cars behind are not too close and therefore can try and seize the initiative. But we take a quick look back at what exactly happened to enable Miguel Leon to pass Mirko Bortolotti, and this was coming down towards turn number 1 a few laps ago. It was coming in towards turns 1 and 2 on lap number 4, and in the end he had the pace on the inside. Bortolotti went to turn in, but Leon there much more comfortable on the trail brake. You could see how he got the nose pointed in. That Corvette has been very much set up there for trail braking attacks. The way he was able to point the car, I think Bortolotti was even caught by surprise with that, 'cause you don't normally have that much leverage under braking. Once you've cleared one, if you're still, in a single file formation, you normally are expected to hold there, but Leon in the end just able to be so much more confident on the brakes. But back to your live race we come, and as we do, we come back at an ideal time, as we do look to, oh, for goodness me, we go away for our leaders for a brief moment. We apologise for that, and in the end, Jordanovski having to go defensive there, going down through 1 into 2, and Miguel Leon and Mirko Bortolotti right now definitely getting very close to Jordanovski to the point. I think a move is going to be a question of when, not if. But this long line of your top 5 right now really queuing up together, and Pedro Luis da Silva 3 seconds behind it would ideally like to get involved, but I think he can't. Meanwhile, whilst we'd love to stay glued to that, we also need to look at the other packs out there. Mark Hutchinson has a train of cars behind him. That's in the fight for 9th place there, with Matthias Pettinger, Christian Ablas, Angel Donuts and Adrian Block. And that is a mixture of elites and pros here. Pettinger being your 2nd place pro driver ahead of Angel Donuts, but he's got the problem trying to pass Ablas here, but he might be able to do him through turn number 7 in towards 8. Here he goes. It's going to be too wide into Deg the 1. Who's going to back out here? Will be Ablas who backs out on the inside line. I think he wanted to commit, but you normally need to be a slight nose ahead there on the inside if you were going to force a move at Deg the 1. As always, it's normally the prerogative of the car on the inside to back out there. For the simple reason it's such a tight entry line, you are going to be costing yourself and your rival the best part of around about 10 miles an hour going through the corner if you try to force it too wide all the way. The Adrian Block follows behind, and we can see the fight between this group is bringing other cars into it. Meanwhile, Meanwhile, Pinto Sobolavente, you're into leader at 18th, where he's got an 8-second gap to the next car in front. And in fact, we can see there, right now it's the story of 3 BMWs at the front of the interfield, because there is Bruno Key in second, and Chris Susky is just behind him in the third place spot there. The China Shop Racing driver who's following at Key, and on the previous lap was actually 2 tenths faster. So Susky right now turning the pace up here. If he is, well, this could be looking very good for him. Now, unfortunately, I'm sorry to announce we do have our first retirement of the day after what's the tow to the pits for Olivier Dean. He is out of the car. They have identified an issue with the car, and therefore the Ferrari driver will not be able to continue in this race. And that's a sad sight, given the fact he put a good job together in qualified. Unfortunately for the Q Racing team driver, he's fallen by the wayside in the season finale. Meanwhile, back to the front of the field. This is elbows out between Jordanovski and Leon. That is getting very fierce in towards turn 1. 2 Corvettes go into the opening corner, and right now, Jordanovski here going as defensive as possible. So, coming onwards now in towards turns 3 and 4. What's Leon going to do here? It is really getting close between them. My good lord. Remember, we're only 15 minutes through this race, and right now, Miguel Leon absolutely on the attack. He looks up the inside in towards turn 5, but it's a feint in the end. And right now, Jordanovski trying to keep them all behind. So much pressure building here for the GazX Racing JRM driver. It's absolutely tantamount to disaster if one of them gets it slightly wrong. But that's the thrill here of these GTs. Of course, they can run close, they can run aggressive, and Jordanovski trying to keep everyone here in place. And of course, you're Martin Stattmann right now, or indeed Tim Perry or Mirko Bortolotti. You've got to be thinking at this point, well, surely, if they're going to fight this hard, either we get involved, or alternatively, we start to think about saving even more fuel here and do not let them get too close. And right now, that's going to work out a treat, because every litre of fuel they can save, it is going to save them plenty of time in the pit lane by comparison. And plenty of time, normally referring to what's half a second to a second at most, but that difference being the difference between being the leader out the pit lane versus being the driver behind. But coming up towards Spoon, the fighting calms down for a brief moment, but Leon almost passed it at Jordanovski there for position. Couldn't quite make the magic happen that time. Further down the order, we've got to change a position here for 11th place in the elite class. That is going to be Justin Noel up the inside of Chad Henson. Henson a little bit of a run wide coming out to turn number 11. It didn't go quite right, and therefore Justin Noel able to take the place off his fellow countryman. Now into 15th place. Still there's a bit more work to be done for both of them. Sylvain Depeche made his way up past Pinto Sobolavente, and that's for overall position only, with the elite driver there in the 281 getting ahead of your inter-leader in the 91. So all is well with the world there between these two. But from them, back to the leaders as they come towards the end of another lap here. Nobody's going to go to the pit lane yet. Indeed, I wouldn't be surprised if nobody's going to go to the pit lane for a long time. This track position is absolutely vital around here, and you do not want to find traffic. But down towards turn 1, we go on to lap number 10. Jordanovski again going very defensive, but this time Miguel Leon does not do anything other than just follow him. So it does seem as though Leon now shadowing our leader. It's all about the mind games at this point. As they come up the hill, we do say hello there to Izzy Pop, who's cheering on altitude at 3M Esports, of which Tim Perry did a very good job right now in 4th place elite and overall. And let's not rule out either what is Mark Hutchinson currently holding on to 8th in the class and chased after Albert Parrish. And we also do say hello there to Richard Vars. And well, I'm doing very well, thank you, Richard. I hope you're doing well as well. And right now, well, this race is definitely geared up. It's looking very good for none other than your good friend at Pinto Sobolavente, who is doing a great job at the front of the interclass. And we hope to see that continue for him. But further down, we've got a bit of fighty here. This is going to be CJ Boyce trying to pass Chris Susky, but he's also got Mikael Averset behind. Oh, that's a big snap on the grass there. Boyce sitting there just about holding it together, and Averset goes around the outside, the same ace of action. And Boyce holding on. That definitely was a very contentious brief moment there between them. And we'll get the feeling right now. CJ Boyce manages taking a bit too much apex curve at turn number 4, and it upset the balance of his Ford GTE. And now if Averset's going to try and look for a wild pass as we ride on board here with the 7th place pro driver, and well, for the Porsche, quite not able to get close enough to think about a move, but definitely trying to think about what he can do here to close the distance and then go on the attack. Well, bouncing the way out underneath the bridge and in towards the hairpin. Boys here on the brakes nice today. The Porsche stronger on the brakes. You can see that. Look at Aversek's body language of the car. Able to point it nice at the apex there. Very aggressive corner exit as well. Averset right now feeling control, feeling a lot more stable corner exit in the low speed corners. Meanwhile, CJ Boyce here does seem to be a little bit all over the place at the moment. And I think right now the Ford GT perhaps struggling a little bit with regards to tyres in this early stage of the race. And do keep in mind, we're not expecting any tyre changes in this race today, given the fact it's a 1 hour race and changing the tyres is done only after fuel is put in the car. And there's a historical precedent for that. That's the regulations for the World Endurance Championship all the way up to the conclusion of what is the race of the GTE category in 2023. And how do I know that? Well, I had the pleasure of working with one of the administrators this year, Jack Barker. We did spend quite a few hours one night going through all the rules and regulations books to find out where exactly the historical precedent was for it. And the ruling essentially is these cars cannot be refueled unless all 4 tyres are touching the ground. We can't change the tyres if the car's touching the ground with its tyres, because you can't take them off the car. Simply put, it does mean you can't refuel and change tyres at the same time, so that's why fuel always goes in first into a GTE, and it's the tyre change afterwards if you need it. But meanwhile, let's change the tone here and change the track, because we do see Matthias Pettinger right now trying to lay down the beat in second place, albeit we briefly lose him there. Angel Rodonez giving pursuit as they head up the rise, and Christian Ablas and Adrian Block behind. Albeit Adrian Block has been stuck there now for some time. I think his patience is definitely that of a saint as he comes in towards Degner 1. But rolling his way on through the corners right now. We've had a bit of an incident for Chris Susky and for James Bostock off camera. We have to find out what's happened to Susky, because he has lost third in the interclass. In fact, he's now dropped down to fourth place, and it's Brian Beardsworth who's taken that place. And well, as we do see our tries getting very close to each other here, that's a small error from none other than Christian Ablasser. He, in the end, tried to make the move on Angel Rodonez. I thought he got it done, and suddenly he countered a lot of power oversteered on the exit of the hairpin. In fact, it wasn't quite done. He had to settle back in for the ride there, but a good attempt from Ablasser for GazX Racing MCM. And right now, 9 Angel Rodonez really is the man who's blocking his progress, he would argue. But he's got the problem, which is Rodonez wants to go hunting after Matthias Pettinger, and Ablasser wants to try and get away from Adrian Block behind. So both drivers there, they are at odds with each other, albeit because of the fact they find themselves at odds with rivals in the class. But we take a quick look back in time and see what exactly happened with regards to Chris Susky. So this was Susky making his way down towards turns 1 and 2 in the checker flag machine. And as he came in towards the opening corner, well, fine. Oh, no, not fine on entry. He had a bit too much brake on there, and the rear of the car lock it up entirely and let it go. So Susky went sideways, and that is how Brian Beardsworth made his way on past there in the Ruffman's Tribute livery privateer car, and was able to move up into third, quick as that, into for the privateer machinery. But back to your live pictures we come. And as we do, this race definitely is not done. We do have James Bostock in the pit lane for work and investigation of his car, given the fact that he has had an extra spin. Bruno Keys into the pit lane as well. So pit stops are now playing out as Key makes his way on down. And as he does so, well, this is going to be an interesting early pit stop here, because we've still got 38 minutes of this race to go. And, well, an early stop like this, I don't think the car's going up on the jacks, but it's definitely one now where he sees that there's some space for him to work with regards to the track, and therefore he's hoping he can give himself clear air and just be out of trouble. Well, Key has served his pit stop. He has taken what is a very short stop, only 10.5 seconds, and that will be entirely for fuel. But Key right now, is he pulling off a bit of strategic magic here? Could he potentially find a way to usurp everyone for the inter-win, or is it more going to put him in contention with Beardsworth for that second and third place spot right at the end? We will see. But still, as all drivers now start to make their way into the pit window. Oh, hold up a second. That's not how you do the hairpin. That's Adrian Block taking rallycross lines. And, well, that's going to enable a lot of cars to come through. Block's had to go on around. And, well, we need to get a replay of that when we can, as that's going to put him right to the back of this group now. He was at the time chasing Christian Ablasser, but it seems to have gone wrong. And what exactly went wrong? Well, here we can find out. So this was the HS Racing 1 driver making his way up into that braking zone for the hairpin. Ablasser in front. Everyone wants the brakes as per usual. And coming through. Oh, there was a bit of a lock up on the rear brakes there, and then hit the apex curve. The front of the car bounced out, and the under tray essentially falling off that curve. That's going to do some damage to the front splitter, and that's not going to be helpful for the car. But meanwhile, whilst that's happened, we've got some more change of foot here, because that, oh my good lord, there's a big lock. That's just Noel going sideways. He just about keeps it pointed in the straight line. He does have to bring it back on, but in the end he decides to get off the ropes. He's got a slow down to burn as well, and just Noel there under braking. Well, car wounded, but he carries on, brings some gravel to the road with him. There's a big lock up with the braking there in towards Casio Triangle. My goodness, that could have been an absolute nightmare instant, but thankfully it was not. But that's dropped him all the way down to that back of the group, and well, we go away for another second, and suddenly all more drama plays out here. Indeed, you can never guess what's going to happen at Suzuka until the very end. But as Ryan Walker now continues to chase Rene Roster, it will be for fourth place. So therefore, the altitude for him, esports driver, absolutely enjoying himself out there. And really has been faultless to a T thus far. Could he be chasing the podium? Because Angel Rodonez is only a further 4 seconds up the road. He's not too far away. But speaking of things that are not too far away, well, here are your leaders. Elite and overall, and Jordanovski still holding on for now, as Chris Susky has made his way to the pit lanes to look at my content booth window. But your top 5 very close together. Now, the theory here, with Jordanovski not having somebody to slipstream off of, is the fact that he is going to lose the lead when we do the pit stops, because he won't have saved as much fuel as everybody else. But Miguel Leon's got other ideas. I think right now the Spaniard wants to, or the Palestinian we should say, is looking to get on past the Spanish team driver for Enosis Esports, of course, definitely feeling eager here. I think he feels though he's got the pace to win this race, and therefore he can really put a dent in the GazX Racing team. However, the problem he's got here is that Jordanovski right now is not very keen to let him past, understandably. I think this is all part of the strategy of the team. They want to try and bring Stattmann forward as well past Perry if they can. But a bit of a snaky moment there, coming through 130R. Miguel Leon just about keeping it together. The car almost snapping on him. That's essentially where the dirty air causing a lack of downforce over the rear car and touching that exit curb. We normally do touch the curbs around most circuits. Here at Suzuka, there are some curbs you do not touch, and the exit curb, particularly the runoff curbing off of 130R, is the thing you never touch, because what happens is the initial red and white curb that you see is higher than the runoff curb, and beyond it, the green AstroTurf. And the idea is if the car is set up low enough, it will beach itself on the curb, and that's where you see some of those huge moments where the cars go up onto the curb and suddenly they snake all over the place and go into the barrier, because essentially the car engine has been lifted off the road by the curbing. But meanwhile, we lift off back to a further battle, and this is Christian Ablasser making his way up past Matthias Pettinger for 10th place overall. That's a change of position overall, and only that. And Matthias Pettinger right now tucking in 9. Angel Adonis is behind him, and next time it's Adonis who is going to be looking for the pro position off of him. So the battle for second in the class is definitely building up. But right now, if things were to finish as they currently stand, Benjamin Massey, the pro leader, the best part of 10 seconds up the road, he would be crowned your pro champion, and Matthias Pettinger would definitely be finishing in, we believe, what will be third place at the moment versus Angel Adonis. It would be very close, but Pettinger needs to essentially finish ahead of Adonis. If he does that, he's guaranteed that third place spot. Rene Rosler a bit further behind. Well, right now he's definitely looking to be taking second place here. Things finish as they currently stand in the class, with what is that full place finish in the situation. And Ryan Walker just behind him there, I think, trying to put some more mental pressure on. The interclass has gone a little bit quiet by comparison after some early instants for drivers and some pit stops playing out early now. We'll wait to see how everyone slots together. We can see Andrew Fellows has passed Craig Tillotson. Tillotson falling back to 5th place of the class for now for Rhino Academy. But how exactly did that move get made? Well, here's the replay to explain. So this was heading on down the start finish straight here. Tillotson over on the left. Meanwhile, it was none other than Fellows coming through. And in the end, Tillotson deciding to step aside there. And I think recognised that perhaps Fellows is a quicker driver and he'd rather work with him than work against him. So Tillotson thinking about the bigger picture perhaps. But the wonder does have to be, of course, of the fact, how's he going to pay that back later on? Well, we will see as we come back to your live racing. As we do, well, these drivers right now definitely heading towards that midway point. As meanwhile, back to the front of the field onto lap 15. Here comes Leon again. This is the third time he's going to try into turn 1. He's going to go side by side. And, well, can he get all the way around the outside here? It's close. They touch briefly, but they're still racing each other. It's brilliant racing. It's going to be Leon on the inside into turn number 3. 2 wide in. It's not going to work. And Jordanovski holds on for now, but now it switches back again. Leon looking to the inside into turn 5, but it's going to be downhill at this point. He's going to be off camber. So Jordanovski here can just hold that inside line. He should be safe. And therefore Leon does have to back off as Mirko Bortolotti looking onto the back of this battle. And right now the GazX Racing MCM driver here thinking to himself, when do I get involved? Well, right now patience is absolutely key. If he doesn't get involved and keeps saving the fuel, he will leap past both of them in the pit stops as we understand it. But Miguel Leon, he's got so much pace in that 293 Corvette right now, and he just wants to be unleashed onto the world. If he was unleashed, I think suddenly the attitude of this entire top 5 would suddenly change from one whereby 3rd through to 5th are just waiting to see what happens, through to everyone suddenly will be wanting to try and get after Miguel Leon as quickly as they can. Leon's read the room and he notices that everybody right now is trying to fuel save behind him. He doesn't want to fuel save. He wants to up the tempo here. He wants to make everyone go a little bit quicker. And, well, if he can make that happen, it could be absolute pandemonium here. But going up towards Smooth Curve, you can see the Ferrari of Mirko Bortolotti not close enough to get involved at this time, but definitely still playing the watch, wait and listen game. As meanwhile, John Lubbock's had to tow into the pit lane off camera. He's been involved in a nasty shunt from what we're gathering. But our top 5 here all playing along right now, although Jordanovski and Leon definitely want to swap those places around as much as they can. Jordanovski very eager to make sure he doesn't lose the lead. And, well, here comes Leon again, looking to the inside to 130R. Surely this has got to be checkmate here as he takes a lot of curb. They both run out wide, but in the end it's going to be the lead of the race. And immediately Bortolotti goes around the outside of his teammate here. Can he beat him under braking? The answer is yes, he can. So Leon's gone through, but Bortolotti as well. Sonny, it's gone to plan B for GazX Racing by looks of things. And Tim Berry, meanwhile, and Martin Stattmann, they queue up behind here. Now knowing they've got to try and find the way through as well. Or will the complexion of this top 5 change? Now that Leon's the leader, will he boost the pace here? Or will he find out that being the leader is harder than being the second place man? Well, we will see. But as we get towards the very halfway point, it's been a titanic battle between Leon and Jordanovski. One of the biggest battles of the season. Well, I think there's more in store. Meanwhile, further down the order, we see Ryan Walker. He's looking for a move for fourth place on Rene Rüssler. Is he going to get it around the outside here? He might be able to. That Ford GT's got quite a bit of pace on the right of your picture. Coming in towards turn one, however, it's not going to have the best place to go for the move. Rüssler inside to outside in terms of his approach line, and therefore, he's going to be able to maintain that position. But Ryan Walker definitely started to threaten a little bit, although he has got encroaching presence of Adrian Vlok behind. And Vlok right now will be very patient, to be fair, but the Australian driver will know that if the two in front are costing him time, he'll either have to come into the pits a little bit earlier than planned. Alternatively, he's going to have to be a little bit forceful in this one. I suspect right now he'll play patient, but how long would he be patient for? Pit stops for John Lubbock and James Bostock. Well, Bostock's still in the pit lane being repaired. You know, Lubbock's car also being looked at, and in fact we can get a quick replay to explain what exactly happened to John Lubbock. Here we go. So, this was John Lubbock missing a whole chunk of the front of the car there. Where on earth has that gone to? I do not know, but the GPX Sport Xenon car in pieces there. And, well, that's why he stopped up in the end. That is an absolute disaster for Lubbock, and we come back to your live racing. So we don't know what the root cause was, but we definitely know what the outcome is for John Lubbock, and that is a car that's completely in pieces. And I suspect right now we might not be seeing it for the rest of the race. It has been towed to the pits, but a lot of work is going on to the car. Meanwhile, whilst we're looking at your live racing, we do now look at Christian Ablasser, 9th in Elite, 10th overall, chasing after Mark Hutchinson, with Albert Prish having gapped these drivers a little bit. So therefore it does mean they're more focused on what is their pair of battle now, as Albert Prish meanwhile 7 seconds up the road by comparison. You can see the cars that are being brought along with them, Matthias Pettinger and Angel Adonis, the two real big names of the pro class there following them, and Rene Rüssler and Chad Henson a bit too further back, as we do see the number 203. And the Los Dos Bravado driver right now, when I tell you one thing, he absolutely loves these GT cars, and where he races them on Fridays, or certainly races them on the weekends and other series that we're aware of. I tell you, he is absolutely thriving at the moment, and indeed GTE in such a good place here, and Chad Henson all for it. But coming down towards turn number one this time around, well, a bit too far back to get close to Adonis, but comfortably clear of Rene Rüssler, and enjoying 10th place in the elite class at least at this time. As into the pits has come Justin Noel, so he's decided to get aisle to the way. He drops down from 17th place overall, or what was 12th in the elite class. Sylvain Depeche comes on through, but Justin Noel being serviced there at least for now. But back to Mark Hutchinson. Well, as Christian Ablasser stays close here, Hutchinson looking quite quick for the SS sequence. That's where his forward GT is looking the better of the two, but it's later on in the lap where we start to see that Corvette close up a little bit. Although it could be expected that Christian Ablasser might be playing the game here, which is just simply to be patient and hope that things will work on strategy. And we do show you now the number of pit stops that have been done by drivers in the timing tower there, so you can stay up to date with who has pitted and who has not. The highest placed driver who has pitted is, of course, Justin Noel, as he's come back out in 23rd place. But we do expect a few drivers further up the order, when they do pit, they will come out ahead of him. That's the nature of the race right now, and therefore it does mean we're yet to really see anybody else coming in, with the pit stops being very short as well. Bruno Key, of course, with the 10-second stop, whereas Justin Noel pitting for 17.5 seconds. Well, a very short pit stop for Key, as it was also, I do believe, for us Greenish just ahead of him. There could be some logic in that right now. The amount of fuel saving that's going in might be the differentiator here between those who go for a longer stop and those who go for a much shorter stop. And I wouldn't be surprised that we do see some pit stops that are sub what will be 9 or sub 10 seconds, heading towards 9 seconds, or perhaps even an 8-second pit stop for somebody who is daring to do one. But looking back to the front of the field, Miguel Leon goes onto another lap. Behind him is Mirko Bortolotti. But look at the gap to third. It is building. Jordanovski was holding them up. Now here comes Perry looking for the move. It's Corvette and Corvette. Perry on the right. Jordanovski on the left. The camera angle will swap them around now as they come through turns 1 and 2. And Perry itching for a potential move. But the problem is he comes into the SS sequence. They're equal machines, subject to the setup they've got on the driver. And, well, for Tim Perry, he wants to pick this place off, but he doesn't want to fight it too hard for the risk of losing the leaders. And it's a bit of an awkward one because, of course, every lap it would seem that right now Marinko Jordanovski is hemorrhaging time to the top two. But he's not hemorrhaging that much that Perry wants to force his way on pass. But the longer he's stuck behind, the more time he'll naturally lose. And the more forceful he has to be to make the pass, the more time he'll lose immediately. And overtaking at Suzuka is always going to cost you a lot of time. It's not an easy prospect. But now Leon is going to find that Bortolotti has been waiting very patiently until they made the moves. And now it's all about who out of these two is going to be the quicker driver. Well, Leon goes a bit wide there. Bortolotti gets the better exit out the corner. Then the traction zone here, we'll see that Corvette move ahead, and Bortolotti just tucks back in behind, right into the toe. He's looking one way than the other. I think bleeding some of the slipstream there to try and cut off some of his top speed, and that's going to just help him a little bit, make sure he doesn't overspeed into Spoon Curve. That keeps that Ferrari very much on the back of the Enosis Esports Corvette. But right now, the GazX Racing, they'll be thinking, have they done enough here to leap this man ahead on strategy? Well, we can't be waiting too much longer to find out. As, of course, given the first pit stops did start playing out around what was 20 minutes into the race. If you do the mathematics here, given we are now 35 minutes into the race, we're expecting the final pit stops to be complete by around 45 minutes into the race distance. So pit stops will be coming sooner and sooner, very shortly. Where exactly will everyone fit into the picture of that is where we need the answers. But further back in the interclass, where we do have still this man leading, and the privateer right now looking in control as he comes all the way through turn number 13, and Pinto Sommerlevente are very happy with the car right now. Andrew Fellows, meanwhile, will do keep in mind he has yet to pit, so therefore he is out of sequence with the likes of, say, Bruno Key, but he is currently second in the class, minus the strategy, and Craig Tillerson currently running in third behind the GPX Supersport driver for Verano Academy. Again, he has yet to pit, with Bruno Key a little bit further behind by 4.6 seconds, and Key has pitted, so therefore he really is your effective second place driver in Elite Inter instead, as I stumble over my words. And well, from the interclass we come back up to pro. Here is Benjamin Massey right now, and the Inox Motorsport driver, and definitely looking in very much control of this race. 7th overall with 3 elite drivers between himself and Matthias Pettinger. Here is Pettinger, and he still has Angel Adonis following him, and these two have literally been like this since the start of the race. Adonis was a bit more aggressive earlier on in the race. Of course, he did have that contact that we did see between himself and Mikhail Abasek. But right now, well, that's to the past. He's got to focus on the present and the future he can create for himself. And right now, that future is he wants to pick up every place he can to try and beat Matthias Pettinger, and therefore still third place away from him in the Pro Championship. But as they make their way up towards the hairpin, a bit further behind, we do still see Rene Russler, Adrian Block and Ryan Walker together, with none other than Jan Lintz there, who is a lap down, unfortunately, but he's still with them and tucking into the toe. And we're all about now playing the game of just respecting the blue flags for Jan Lintz and seeing what he can do later on in the race, and whether he can pick up any more places before this one is said and done. And of course, very valuable points in the Teams Championship, even if it's going to be 10th place of the Pro class for him. Every point does matter when it's coming down to very fine margins. But up to the front we go. And through 130R, almost onto 2 wheels, there was a notice Esports to Miguel Leon. Now through into the chicane this time, coming towards the end of a 19th lap turn. Bortolotti then, the concertina effect looking very close, and nobody deflects into the pit lane. Indeed, they all stay out. Where's Martin Stattmann? He's a bit further back there. The GazX Racing MCM driver, I think right now, letting himself fall back a little bit. I wonder if he's having to protect the tyres a bit more in that BMW. As we have seen this season, the BMW, when it comes to these races, does suffer over the longer race pace distance, more so than any other car. And therefore, right now for the Austrian driver, I suspect by falling back a little bit, he's just giving a little bit more air to the car. He's allowing the front end of the car to cool down more effectively. That's just helping him out. It also will save some fuel if he's lifted and coasting more. But of course, he does let the gap grow a little bit to the cars in front of him, and that's what he's got to be wary of. But for him, looking so smooth so far. Indeed, any one of these 5 drivers can be on that final elite podium of the season, and any one of them could win this race. And well, they'll all be trying to break the hold that Bortolotti has had all the way through every round he has attended. But further back, we do have Mark Hutchison, still presenting the second long line of cars, himself, Ablas, Pettinger and Ordonez. 4 cars all together there, all in the single camera shot. But Hutchinson right now enjoying one of his best drives of the season in terms of how smooth he's been in this Ford GTE, and well, we look forward to seeing whether he'll be rewarded on it when it comes to strategy, because of course driving like this right now is one thing, but he doesn't have the opportunity to save anywhere near as much fuel as the cars behind, and it could swing back against him. What can you do in that situation when you're the lead car, you might be asking? Is it always the way? You never want to be the lead car in a race. Yes and no, perhaps. In these races, when you do have everyone's fuel saving off the back of one another and there's no pace differential between the drivers, not because the cars are exactly identical, it shows you how good the balance of performance is, but also it shows you how well matched everybody is here. And one of the things you can do, as we mentioned earlier, is essentially as the leader of the group, you can do your own lifting and coasting. It's never as effective as for the guy behind, but of course we'll have your slipstream to work with on the straight, but what it does mean, of course, you naturally save a little bit of fuel. There is also the very risky strategy you can take, which is you can intentionally underfuel from the lead of the race when you come into the pits. Now, the idea behind that is essentially you fuel as if you save the fuel in the slipstream of another driver. You won't have enough fuel to get to the end of the race. What you then theoretically do is when you come back out, you are guaranteed to come back out in the pack you are in, or alternatively in the next pack up the road, and then you save fuel off the back of a car there. The risk, of course, being if it doesn't work out, you'll be very lonely. You've got more fuel saving to do. As they, well, that's going to get very lonely there for Adrian Block, who goes for a spin. And well, for the HS Racing 1 driver, under braking there in towards the Casio Triangle chicane, went for a move, but it didn't work. Meanwhile, side by side here, that's Ablasser versus Hutchinson. Hutchinson in contact there, or was it? I'm not sure, but the rear of the car let go either way, and the altitude for eSports driver and going sideways into the gravel at turn 1 into 2. And now for the 2-3-3, what's looking a very smooth cruise in this race is now one that's definitely looking a little bit more rough at the edges as he brings himself back up into the road, but behind Chad Henson now, who's into 9th in the elite class, where everything happened there in a very short order of time. And, well, we can quickly get you a replay of what exactly has happened as we do take a look back. Now, this is Adrian Block on the attack. Firstly, batting there with none other than Rene Rosler's BMW. Looked up the inside, and in the end, lost the rear of the car under brake, and it just came loose, and that then led to, I think, was Rene Rosler and Mark Hutchinson getting very close together. In fact, no, that was separate, so we do apologise for the confusion there. This was then what happened between Hutchinson and none other than Christian Ablasser, and in the end, Hutchinson losing it on turn-in of his own volition. So Hutchinson went to turn-in, and the rear of the car said no on that outside line. We wondered if there was contact, but it didn't seem to be, and the Altitude 3M eSports car going around there and just showing you the fact how fragile that Ford GTE can be. But as we come back, well, it's gone backwards for him for now as he's behind Henson. He's fallen back to 10th in the elite class, but still, there's plenty of race to go, and we are 20 minutes away from the final checkered flag, or at least the final lap that takes us to the checkered flag. And we've still got a huge number of pit stops to come, ladies and gentlemen. This race has yet to see the big conundrum, the pit stop that could really make or break it for so many drivers in the race distance. Speaking of those who have pitted, we come to the interclass. Bruno Key, he is chasing after Craig Tillerson, lapping him down at what is none other than 9/10 a lap on average at the moment. So Key will be within attacking a distance within the next 2 to 3 laps. And right now the WP 300 eSports Sakura machine, hoping that perhaps Tillerson will be going into the pit lane sooner rather than later, because he won't want to have to pass him if he can help it. As we do see Tillerson have a bit of a lock-up coming in towards the hairpin, so that might just cost him a bit more time. But Bruno Key right now will be praying that it's a clear road ahead of him, because he's had a clear track ever since he's pitted. And Sylvain Depeche comes into the pit lane. As he does so, meanwhile, we've had a big error there from Peter Sommerlevente. You're into leader, getting it wrong in Casio Triangle. Now, where is second in the class? Well, it's a long way back, at least on the road it is. It'll be Andrew Fellows, who's the best part of 25 seconds behind. Well, that's a mistake there that the Hungarian has made, and will surely not now. Mistakes are going to creep in, not at this late juncture, because if so, the team are going to be absolutely terrified of what else is to come here. He's got to get himself cooled down and just make sure he doesn't make any more errors after that. But, of course, once you've made one, the circuit starts to look at you a little bit differently, and you start to look at it with a raised eyebrow instead. But hopefully not so, everyone will be saying right now. But meanwhile, just in front was a fight between two pros here. This is Mikhail Abasek and Cedric Boyce fighting over 6th on the road in the pro class. These two literally nose to tail, and Boyce has made his way on past Pinter Levente. Well, right now it is a challenge where the Inox Motorsport driver on a recovery drive here wants to get past that Ford GTE, but the Porsche, for all the speed it's got in the corners and in the braking zones, the Ford GTE seems to be able to match it, at least for this point in time. It'll be interesting, because these two drivers definitely right now very similar pace to each other. That was certainly hoping that strategy might be the key thing that unlocks his performance. Meanwhile, back to the front of the field. And Tim Perry looking up the inside there. That's into Casio Triangle. He goes very late on the brakes to Tim Perry. He gets that done. What a move. That came from downtown. And in the end, the Altitude 3 eSports driver moves into 3rd place. I think Marinko Jordanovski there couldn't even believe that happened. But now Perry has to go defensive down the start-finish straight. You can see it's cost him a bit of time to leaders. And Perry all the way to the wall. Jordanovski, meanwhile, coming out there. They're going to be very close. In towards turn 1 they go. And in the end, Perry defends. Does he defend enough? The answer is yes, he does. And in the end, the 283 driver will take that 3rd place. But a vital move there. Now, can he close the gap back up to the top 2 and therefore bring himself back into the toe and potentially become the driver who, much like at Interlagos, of course, with that infamous battle between himself and what was none other than Mirko Bortolotti over the entire distance, can he potentially be the driver who leads this race going into what is going to be, we suspect, the final 15 to 12 minutes? Indeed, any one of these 5 drivers right now could win this. They are all so close on pace. But notice this as well. Suddenly, with there being a gap to 3rd place building, Bortolotti's getting a bit close to Leon. I wonder where he thinks, actually, if they're all fighting behind for a lap, why don't I try to now go for the lead of this race? But Leon's got other ideas. He does get a much better run going through the Degners, and suddenly that gap opens back up to 3.5 tenths on the exit of the hairpin. As meanwhile, Perry goes deep. Jordanovski back up the inside, and Tim Perry there was just a small error, it would seem. Well, Jordanovski steals that place back, and this fight really bubbling up now. And I think for Perry, it's a small error that's going to cost him so much more in the bigger picture. Now Perry into the toe there. He looks back to the inside here. He wants that third place. He knows he needs it. That's why he's going for it. Coming through Spoon, and in the end they give each other space. Perry has got a nose, but unfortunately a nose is not going to be enough there through the second part of the left-hander, and he falls back in. So for Perry, it's a vital error that may have just cost him a chance here, because that gap to Bortolotti and Leon is now almost 2 seconds. But down the back stretch they come and making the way in towards 130R. Too wide the enter here, but Jordanovski immediately goes defensive. So therefore Perry's going to look round the outside, but he runs very wide there. He's going to run all the way to the exit of the curve to rejoin safely. But of course that's going to bring Martin Stattmann in now, looking down the outside. And for Tim Perry at this point, what do? Do you come into the pits now and just simply go, right, if I can't make this happen, I've got to go to plan B? And the answer is no. He stays with plan A, which is to stay with this group all the way to the end of the fuel tank. Well, perhaps it's the right call here, perhaps it's not. We'll have to wait and find out. Meanwhile, Rene Rosler versus Ryan Walker. These two getting tantalisingly close to each other. Rosler right now under huge pressure from Ryan Walker, and Walker attacking here for 4th place in the pro class, with the Anlins meanwhile a lap down. They can't really get involved other than to try and unlap himself, but of course the blue flags will be waving furiously if he does do that, and therefore just watching as a spectator, as Walker definitely enjoying one of his best performances of the season. But whilst this fighting does carry on down the start-finish straight, we do have a replay to bring you as to what exactly happened to Pinto Sommerlevente, but not before we see the conclusion of this, as that was Walker looking to the inside, then the outside. Rene Rosler pitching himself nicely to the inside there and simply saying to Walker, if you're going to try it, you're going to run out of road. So Walker couldn't find a way in, but as we do leave them alone, we head back in time quickly to find out what exactly happened to our interleader. Well, this was under braking in towards the Casio Triangle chicane, went onto the brakes, smooth, but a bit too much speed perhaps, too much curb as well, and it just sent the car wide, but he bounced off of the second curb, and that's why the car went on around there. So just a bit too much speed in towards Casio Triangle, and learning from that mistake quite quickly. But back to live racing we come, and as we do, what now is to come of it all? Well, we are 14 minutes away. We still have so many pit stops to do here. Indeed, your top 20 have yet to pit. That is the picture you need to keep in mind. So therefore, we're still waiting to see exactly how the strategy fits together. But the highest placed drivers who have pitted are none other than Sylvain Depech and Justin Noah in 21st and 22nd, where Bruno Kieden in 25th, the next driver who has pitted, and trying to chase down what will be second place in the interclass as a minimum. Miguel Leon here heading up towards Casio. We can see Bortolotti looking up the inside, and this time he goes for it. It's too wide on entry, and then going through left-hander. They have to give each other space, and Leon's not quite out of this, but Bortolotti does take the place down. Leon tucks back in and coming down in towards what will be turn number 1. Well, right now we can see Bortolotti goes to war immediately. Leon wants this back here, and here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to now be Leon versus Bortolotti, much like he took on Jordanovski, but in the end, no way through. Leon plays it a little bit more passive, at least this time, and I suspect it might be because the fuel gauge has started to head towards 0 at an alarming rate. And well, what gives you the idea of that, perhaps, you ask? Well, it's because Matthias Pettinger is now into the pit lane. So is Mark Hutchison. They are both coming in. These fuel tanks are getting dry. I suspect they're going to go at least, what is 48 minutes, most of the rest of the field, and then they'll start to think about pitting at the end of this lap. Rustler's in, so is Adrian Vlok. They're all started to come in, and then we are now at the crossover point here of this race, where you're going to have to pit regardless of how much fuel saving you've done. You can't turn this into a no-stop race, no matter how hard you try. But as we do see Abasek and Levente still together, they carry on for one more lap. Well, meanwhile, leaving the pit lane there is Matthias Pettinger. His teammate behind him, but of course his teammate yet to pit, so therefore that will be the differential between the two of them. And coming down here, nobody's going to step on each other's toes, at least for now, as Ryan Walker with that pit stop coming out there just further behind. In fact, no, that's not Ryan Walker, that's Mark Hutchinson. Let's correct ourselves there. Ryan Walker is still yet to pit, but he's had extra fuel saving that he's been able to do by comparison. So that's them. Meanwhile, going all the way back to the front, and we can see Bortolotti now trying to turn up the wick a little bit to give himself some room, but he makes a small error there. Going for his spoon, almost does, we should correct ourselves. Just about keeping him with the track limits there. I think if he'd gone any wider, he would have been subject to a slowdown. Miguel Leon shadowing him in that regard, but these drivers right now, they are turning it up to the maximum on what might be the final lap of their first stint, and coming up towards 130R. Well, we can see these drivers trying to trim a little bit of the grass there on the outside just to widen the corner. But the more you do that, the more the car gets pulled off the road. So it really is risky the more you do it. You try to wind up the corner as much as possible. As Leon touches the grass, goes very sideways there, but goodness me, he catches that just in time. And when in, he goes for another lap. But meanwhile, Jordanovski is into the pit lane. What about Perry? No, Tim Perry stays out for another one. Martin Stattmann stays out as well. So Jordanovski has to give way. And I suspect that might be of how hard he had to push in the early stage of the race. race. Massey's in from the leader pro, so is Pedro Luis da Silva behind him. But your top four, they carry on. They are going to go a 26th lap on fuel. Well, they've been absolutely saving for so long, and we do see Kitty's Mad asking that, will we be announcing the winners tonight or waiting in case of instant reports? We will. Hopefully we bring you the provisional final standings at the end of today's broadcast so you're able to see them in full detail, but we will caveat them with the fact there will be a provisional on that due to any stewards' inquiries that may happen after the racing, but we will do our best to show you those if we can at the end of today's broadcast, so please hold us to that promise. But meanwhile, as Tim Perry heads on the throw, well, Miguel Leon having that big slide only moments to go. That was a scary one there, and Bortolotti has bought himself a 1.2 second gap as a result. That could be the minor mistake that really makes or breaks the race for them. But more pit stops playing out. Levente's into the pits as well. He comes in from the lead of the interclass. Where is Bruno Key? Well, Bruno is making his way up the West Straight at the moment. He's still a long way away here. I think some of Levente is going to be safe unless he has a nightmare pit stop for whatever reason. But all he needs to do at this point is take it nice and easy, and he will get the job done. But the pit stops around here now falling into the categories of what is sub at 9 seconds for a lot of drivers. And Pitos on Levente getting ready to come off the limiter. There he goes. He can now build up the speed in the car. And as CJ Boyce comes on past, well, he's going to be side by side with Mirko Abasek. He'll go around the outside there, take that place back. But meanwhile, back on the start finish straight, there's Bruno Key, and there's the Delta. In the end, the gap between himself and Pinto on Levente for the win in the interclass. It is a grand total of 12 seconds, and right now it's for the Hungarians to lose. But to be fair to Key, right now he is looking very safe here in the hunt for that second place, and with it, it's definitely going to look to be potentially a second place in the championship. He might be able to steal off Andrew Fellows, albeit it will be very close. But into the pit lane then come your top four as Tim Perry goes another lap. My goodness, no way is he going 27 laps. He has saved so much fuel in that car. Perry going on. Is this going to completely turn this upside down? Are they going to be surprised here as they all come in? Miguel Leon, of course, right now, his goal's got to be to try and beat Bortolotti out the pit lane. But Tim Perry here, is he going to steal this race off of everybody? Because Perry going one extra lap was not on my bingo card, I can tell you that. And will these pit stops quick? But here comes Bortolotti first. Then who's next? It's going to be Stattmann, practically side by side. And as they make the way on down the pit lane, in the end, Leon is going to back out there. So Miguel Leon drops to fourth. Here's Jordanovski. He's going to get around the outside. He's going to take one. Is he going to take both? No, he's not. So Jordanovski falls back into fourth place. Then Martin Stattmann does leap up into third. And, well, that is the change of complexion of this race right now. Stattmann has gained. Meanwhile, Jordanovski has lost out. And also Miguel Leon has lost out even more. So it's going to now all come down to Tim Perry here. One last lap. He is the only driver yet to pit. He will have to come in unless somehow he's magicking up. Will be a no-stop strategy. But I think if that was the case, he would have to burn a lot less fuel, and he'd have much slower pace by comparison. But Tim Perry right now, can he find a way to pull off an absolute miracle with regards to his strategy, or is this going to be a lap too far for the number 283? Well, getting ready to go in towards what will be smooth curve here. The Altitude 3M team right now will be absolutely biting their fingernails down the pit lane, hoping this man has done enough here, and perhaps, just perhaps, he can make the magic that he tried to put into Lagos a reality here, and it's not going to be a dud. But meanwhile, as we come back to Benjamin Massey, the pro leader right now, fully in control here, and battles further down the order have quietened down. Unfortunately, we have had a big incident for Brian Beardsworth. We are going to bring you a quick replay of that, and here we go, because he was looking for a third place in the interclass at the time. And this was the privateer coming in towards the S's, fresh out of his pit stop effectively, and on through turn 4, went a bit wide there, touched the grass, and straight on into the barrier there, and oh my goodness, the barrier taking the bumper off the car, into the gravel, damaged front suspension. That was his race. But meanwhile, we come back to your live pictures. Here's Tim Perry. He's into the pit lane now. It will be his one and only stop. Where is Bortolotti? We look to the blimp camera and we look for the Ferrari driver. There he is, coming down the hill out to turn number 17. It's going to be so close here as he makes his way full throttle. Perry right now leaving the pit lane. He's coming up to the limiter line. Where is Bortolotti? He's closer. It's going to be very tight between them, but I think Bortolotti's going to do it. He is. He just squeezes back ahead of Tim Perry. And whilst Perry was able to go the extra lap, in the end, the fact that Perry got caught up behind Jordanovski for those couple of laps, well, that has been the difference. And right now for Bortolotti, presuming he doesn't make a single mistake, he is on course to take the elite crown with an 8th win in 8 rounds competed in. My goodness, it's absolutely incredible how this top 5 has come out right now, and it's not over yet. Do not write it off. We've still got 6.5 minutes. We've still got a final lap. Anything can happen. With all is said and done here, and with the previous rounds been everything to go by, you definitely want to be switched off until the very end. As meanwhile, what's happening elsewhere, Mark Hutchins had a bit of a moment at turns 1 and 2. He's going to give up there to Ryan Walker a position. So that's going to be Walker moving through to 13th overall. Walker definitely on course for his best result of the season here overall and in class for that fourth place that's coming his way. Rene Rosler being the best part of a further 3 seconds back. And we see Rosler in the rear of the picture there, but just behind them, we have got, I believe, a yellow flag for Brandon White, albeit not on picture, because this is Cedric Boyce ahead of Mikael Abasek and Pinto Somolovente, your inter-leader, who right now doesn't need to get involved in this battle. All he needs to do is play witness to it, and indeed he'll be very happy to bring home the inter-class win there by a comfortable margin, in excess of what will be about the best part of 12 to 13 seconds. In fact, we can show you the class standings there. You can see how everyone fits together. Key now 14 seconds off the back of Vente and knowing he's got a long way to go, as we know Abasset and Boyce are fighting over 6th place in the pro class. But from those drivers back to the front we go for a moment. And whilst Bortolotti did get out ahead of Perry, well, look at how that gap has come down. Perry right now, 5.5 attempts, 6 attempts going through the Casio Triangle chicane. Has Perry got one final ace up his sleeve? Has he got a bit of pace here that nobody's expected? Because if so, Perry might be going for this. Martin Stattmann currently running in third here for GazX Racing MCM. Bringing Jordanovski and Leon along for the ride, but coming on down the straight, you can see that Stattmann flashes headlights to Craig Tillotson to say to him, I'm getting close, be ready to let me go. And we see Miguel Leon still trying to look for that full place of a Jordanovski, but Leon losing out there in the pit stop so drastically in the end, and we're taking a bit of extra fuel, and I suspect that extra fuel is to make him comfortable to the end of the race and mean that he can push absolutely full attack every corner. But Tillotson there, in the end stepping aside, Leon makes sure to squeeze him through as well, and Craig Tillotson just about seeing that the Enosis Esports car was coming through. There's a good awareness on the Verano Academy driver, and he will carry on his journey for that fourth place potentially in the interclass. Keep in mind, of course, the fact that he is currently a very comfortable 47 seconds ahead of John Ludbrook, so this might be going his way very well so, and Tillotson just needs to bring on home. It won't be a second podium of the season, but it's definitely going to feel like a huge achievement, all things considered. And we know Kevin Smith here today, he'll be flying the banner for Verano Academy absolutely high. But meanwhile, going down the start for the straight, here's a change of position, and that's going to be Russ Green going around the outside there of Justin Noel, who tucks back in. So they swap there for 13th place in the elite class. These two, of course, have very strange races, with Russ Green being more sideways than straight on the open lap, and Justin Noel doing quite a bit of yard trimming later on in the race. But either way, they're now back together and keeping it all smiles. But it's also a big smile on our faces here at the front, because our leader, and definitely right now, seeing that he has got a close companion, and will Tim Perry trying to stay with Bortolotti just a little bit longer. They've got this lap plus at least 2 more. Well, it means we will get 31 laps here the way the clock's going at the moment, but the gap between the leaders now down to 4 attempts. Perry is matching the leader, if not outpacing him. Understand, slipstream is a factor, but also are the tyres on the leading Ferrari right now just starting to hit their cliff, whereas for the Corvette, we know it's got the advantage on tyre life, based on what we have seen over the course of the last couple of seasons of the balance of performance of the car in the iRacing officials. It's not been changed, and right now that Corvette just seems to be gradually reeling in the time. 3 attempts almost on that lap. So right now Perry, well, penultimate lap here. Perry's got to build himself up on this one and then look for the final lap showdown. If he can do it, well, can he finally bring home that win? Has escaped him for some time. And keep in mind, of course, that for Tim Perry, second places, he's taken 2 of them. He's never finished third, and he's never finished on the top step of the podium. Is he going to bring home a second place of the season, or can he finally take that long-awaited win? Well, you never know. But coming all the way through right now, it is definitely Bortolotti here who holds track position, and that's the key part. As Martin Stattmann, meanwhile, starting the gap a little bit on Jordanovski and Leon, and does look comfortable just to the very end. As we bring you back to those overall standings, we've got a black flag for Justin Noel for what will be instant points, so he's going to be taking a drive-through penalty, or if not that, it's going to be a sizable 50-second pit stop added onto his time. And well, in the end, Justin Noel does come into the pit lane off camera, and I look at my contact booth window, I can confirm that. So therefore, he drops out the hunt for 13th in the elite class, unfortunately. But as all these drivers continue to wind their way down in this race, well, some are not winding down, as Rene Rosler still attacking Mark Hutchinson here for 14th overall. But this race definitely now heading towards the conclusion. It has been an absolute slog for these drivers. And meanwhile, surely the wheels are not falling off the bus here for your inter-leader. Vince Somolovente, though, I think he's made a mistake at turns 1 and 2. He's had a bit of a sideways moment, but he's still comfortably ahead of Bruno Key. All he's got to do is get this home. It's 2 laps right now, and I can imagine that one of his big fans in the YouTube chat, none other than Richard Vars, might be sat there absolutely with his fingers and toes crossed right now, hoping that he could get it home. But back to the front we go. The gap into 130R was 2.5 tenths. Bortolotti leads then. One more lap to go here. A 31st and final lap at Suzuka. The final lap of this season gets underway. Bortolotti hold on with Perry right behind him. But will it be that way the next time at the checkered flag? Well, it's between these two to see as they head down towards turn 1. And right now, Perry getting closer and closer already. Bortolotti going defensive into 1. He immediately goes on the attack here. All the way around the outside. Can he go all in? No, he can't. Perry has to back off there. But right now, you can understand he is absolutely thirsty for this. Looks up the inside to turn 3. Trying to throw the dummy there. It's not going to work right now, and with that he'll lose a bit of pace, but he's got so much more potential in the Corvette versus the Ferrari in front of him, and that's why he's got this confidence right now to go for the feints, to go for the little jabs, but coming through 6 and in towards 7 now. He's got to build himself up once again. The next overtaking opportunity could potentially be going up towards the Kobayashi hairpin at turn number 11, but for that he's going to need to get a lot closer than this. He'll need to be within 2 tenths coming out of Degner 2. Here's Degner 1 right now run the way in. Perry much more aggressive towards the apex curve there, in towards Degner 2 again, pointing the car in. Bortolotti runs a little bit wide, just a slight bit of nervousness there, a twitch from the Ferrari, but Perry as well nowhere near close enough here to get involved. So now the next opportunity will be at 130R and Casio Triangle. At this rate, it might be that Perry right now gave it his all, and perhaps he hasn't got anything left. Perhaps that one move at the opening corner was what he had in the tank, but rolling his way upwards towards Spoon. Well, understanding right now, everyone wants to see an underdog make the magic happen, but can he bring down the Goliath of that Ferrari in front? Well, we're on the way through 13 right now. Either driver who wins this, they deserve it. There's no doubt about it, regardless of who you're supporting cheering on this battle. But right now, that Ferrari is just looking unstoppable here. But Perry, 4.5 tenths behind, onto the back stretch. 130R awaits here. He'll close little by little. The slipstream aiding him on that adventure, but we're on the way through and up towards Casio. At this point, it's one big braking zone. The Ferrari right now absolutely glued. Perry, they're running all the course and more, but making the car unsettled. And right now, I don't think he's going to have it, ladies and gentlemen. As they cover through the final few corners, for Mirko Bortolotti, he's held on to the challenge all the way through, and for him, it's going to be an 8th win of the season. An elite crowd falls to Mirko Bortolotti for the season for GazX Racing MCM. Perry takes the run-up spot ahead of Martin Stattmann. Marinko Jordanovski 4th there ahead of Miguel Leon with Benjamin Massey. He will be your pro champion for Inox Motorsport. What a drive for him in the 153, and well, a phenomenal win to take his championship crown ahead of Pedro Luis da Silva, who finished in 7th place there ahead of Albert Prisch and Christian Ablasser. Matthias Pettinger will be on home. The runner-up spot there is a 1-2 in the pro class for Inox Motorsport ahead of Angel Adonis in the rear of the picture, and then it'll be Chad Henson who comes on down to take 9th in the lead, 12th overall. Ryan Walker comes on through there for his best result of the season, 4th in the pro class ahead of Rene Rosler, who in the end will lose out there in the battle for the win in the pro championship, but still a valiant 2nd place, we believe. An age of 15th ahead of Sylvain Depeche, 16th there. Mark Hutchinson just behind him. We've got a few more drives to come, ladies and gentlemen, as we do see there Russ Green coming on down. And the HS Racing 2 drive, as much as it's been turned around, he's definitely enjoyed this one ahead of Cedric Boycia and Mikhail Abasek. But what about this man, ladies and gentlemen? Sure, he's not going to be your Inter winner, but after heartbreak after heartbreak, he will be back at the top step of the podium in the Inter class. Pinto Sommerlevente, you've done it. You win in Japan here in the Inter category, head of none other than Bruno Key. And Key comes on through the final quarter just behind Justin Noah, and Brandon White takes 2nd place here today. And I can tell you one thing, the lovely livery Sakura machine in the end does itself proud, and with that result I think he will be tying it up in the interclass at the run-up spot with Andrew Fellows. It's going to be very close between them, with the GPX SimSport Xenon driver, despite it all going around at the start, we'll give him credit, he's recovered to 3rd place in the class in the end, and he'll be your last lead lap finisher in Inter. What a job from the GPX SimSport Xenon driver, but what a race, no doubt about it. And some other shout-outs to give you. Craig Tillerson, 4th in the Interclass, a lap down, 28th overall, almost matches best result of the season. But as they all call it down, what a race, ladies and gentlemen. And for Mirko Bortolotti, well, it is definitely a well-deserved elite championship crown here. The real-world racer, indeed. The star of GT3 Racing, definitely showing you ways a GTE start on the simulator, and Tim Perry meanwhile kept him honest all the way to the end, but much like at Interlagos, when he needed to find a way back past, he couldn't quite do it, and whilst the pace was building, he didn't have the time in the bank to get it done. But what a race, no doubt, ladies and gentlemen. A fantastic season finale here in Japan, and as our drivers cool them down, well, let's take a look at those race results subject to any stewards' inquiries. And as we can see, after an absolutely brilliant 60 minutes of racing action of around 10 of 10 in the SimRacing International GTE Championship Season 1, brought to you today on iRacing from the Suzuka International Racing Course, Mirko Bortolotti, your overall winner for GazX Racing MCM. But it was all about strategy as it was as much about pace today, and in the end he saw what he needed to do, saved the fuel in the first stint, and in the end was able to leap into lead right towards the very end of it ahead of Miguel Leon, and then after the pit stops just able to sneak out ahead of Tim Perry, and he was down to the two at the very end. But to the Altitude Freedom Esports drive, he had the pace, but he didn't have the opportunity to steal that move away, and Martin Stattmann in the end at third place there for GazX Racing MCM. And we do believe with the results here as well, it will mean that Inox Motorsport will be your team's champions by a very small margin, given the fact that GazX Racing MCM are first and third, whereas Inox Motorsport in the Pro Class are first and second. But more on that in a bit, because outside the top three overall and elite, Marinko Jordanovski, they're fourth in the end, fending off Miguel Leon to the finish. And credit where it's due to both Jordanovski and Miguel Leon, they gave us so much entertainment in the first half an hour, but Jordanovski gradually lost out to the Palestinian driver and Miguel Leon as well. He looked as though at one point, if he led the race, he would break away, but the Inosis Esports driver just used up too much fuel and tyre life in battling with Jordanovski, and in the end had to fall down and settle for fifth. Benjamin Massey, your pro winner there, sixth on the road, really untouchable today in the class for Inox Motorsport, definitely showing that practice is made perfect. Head of Pedro Luis da Silva, with the GPX's Onyx driver, followed up by none other than Albert Prisch, and then it was behind him in the Inosis Esports car, GazX Racing MCM's Christian Ablasa and Matthias Penninger, who completed your top 10. The Onyx Motorsport Corvette drive, of course, runner-up in the Pro Class, just ahead of Inosis Esports Angel Adonis, so he does hold him off there in the fight for third place in the championship, and Chad Henson in 12th place there, enjoying himself once more for Los Dos Bravado and picking up quite a decent result. Ryan Walker was 13th there, 4th in Pro, very happy with that result, his best result of the season for Altitude Freedom Esports, ahead of Rene Rissler, with Adrian Vlock 15th, and round off that top 15 for HTS Racing 1, 4 seconds ahead of Sylvain Depeche. Mark Hutchinson, despite his struggles, taking home 17th ahead of Russ Green, and Sujit Boyce and Mikhail Abasek completing your top 20. Outside the top 20 in 21st, it was Pinto Levente, or Pinto Sommer Levente's 9 in full, and in the end, the Interwing coming the way to the privateer driver, and will, after the hiccups the last few rounds, he'll be absolutely on cloud 9 to have ended his season on a win. Joss Snell was 22nd, having started 23rd, making one place over the entire distance, ahead of Brandon White, with the ID File competition drive having a much quieter race today, albeit Bruno Key was close behind him at the very end for We Pay 300 Esports, with a runner-up spot in the Interclass. Flaming Tiafri, 25th, ahead of Andrew Fellows, who will round off the Interpodium there for GPX SimSport Xenon. And then it was a lap down there for Jan Lintz, as it was for Craig Tillotson, John Ludbrook, and Brian Beardsworth, who unfortunately ended up in the barrier late on in the race and therefore was 2 laps down. Behind the privateer, outside the top 30, we had 3 other drivers there, all retirees, unfortunately, from this race. Chris Susky was looking good for a podium at one point in the Interclass for China Shot Racing. James Bostock had so much pace early on, but unfortunately all went wrong at the turn 11 hairpin. And then we also did see Olivia Dean retire from the race quite late in the day. But over to the classes we go. This is where the points are made and paid. And as we see in the elite class, Mirko Bortolotti then 8 wins in 8 rounds attended, and with that, your elite champion for GazX Racing MCM. What a finale for him. And indeed, a huge congratulations to our top 5 today. They gave us such a thrilling race. Tim Perry, a run up there for Altitude Freedom Esports and cementing his third place finish in the championship ahead of Martin Stattmann, the runner up in the elite class there for GazX Racing MCM. And then it was Marinko Jordanovski in 4th, just ahead of Miguel Leon. Behind them, Pedro Luis da Silva, a quiet race. He couldn't quite stay with the top 5. He tried to in the early stages, but was very comfortable there in 6th, ahead of Albert Prisch. And behind the Spaniard, it was none other than Christian Ablasa, who was 2 seconds further adrift. No sort for 8 seconds there to Los Dos Bravado's Chad Henson in 9th, ahead of Adrian Vlock, who round off the top 10, and Sylvain Depeche best the rest in 11th, ahead of Mark Hutchinson, with Russ Green and Just Noel, all your finishers down to 14th, and behind the privateer was Cube Racer Team's Olivia Dean, who retired sadly, but he was running comfortably inside the top 10. To the Pro Class we go. And here we can see it is a 1-2 for Inox Motorsport. Benjamin Massey, your champion, provisionally ahead, and Matthias Pettinger, who we do believe, of course, finishing 3rd in the championship. But what a 1-2 for the team. And for Angel Adonis, a 3rd place there for Inosis Esports. Not quite the result he expected, but indeed the Suzuka circuit catching him out. Meanwhile, Ryan Walker, 4th there for Altitude Freedom Esports, enjoying a brilliant run of form. 5 seconds ahead of Rene Rissler for the GazX Racing JRM, who with that 5th place finish, we believe will confirm that he is 2nd in the Pro Class Championship. Championship. Unfortunately, the pace wasn't with him today, but it was ahead of Cedric Boyce's Ford GT for Cube Racing Team, who in the end was only a tenth ahead of Miguel Leon across the line for Inox Motorsport, and it was Brandon White and Flavien Thierry completing the lead lap finishers, and behind the two ID5 competition drivers, it was Jan Lintz there who rounded off the top 10 in Pro. Then coming to the Interclass, last but by no means least, and here we can see it was a win for the man who's definitely had his uphill battle to get through over the last few rounds, but for Pinto Sommervente, he ends the season on a high after the disappointment of Le Mans, and that's where you could trace where all things went wrong, but Sonny, it's all gone right today, and taking that win by 10.8 seconds, even with a couple of slides and a late spin, he still got it done ahead of Bruno Key, with the WePay 300 esports driver in the end having to take second, but to him, he'll be very pleased with that, given the fact he snuck through the field. Andrew Fellows round off the podium there for GPX SimSport Xenon ahead of lap down at Craig Tillotson. The Verano Academy driver ahead of John Ludbrook for GPX SimSport Xenon. Your champion, all he needed to do today was pick up points for the team and stay out of trouble, and he did exactly that. And then Brian Beardsworth 2 laps down at 6th there, the last of your inter finishers, with retirement sadly for Chris Susky and also for James Bostock. Well, ladies and gentlemen, what a race. What a conclusion to the championship. And the great news is, whilst our circuit has gone silent, there is no more racing to come for this season, sadly. Don't frown too much, because we will be back in approximately 5 minutes' time for our final post-round interviews of the season, and we look forward very much to catching up our drivers and potentially some of our provisional champions as well. We will see you as soon as we can. And it's lights out and away we go for our season opener as Stattmann gets a good start, but look alongside him and you'll see there Milton Tomlinson Dennis immediately going the attack into the braking zone. One driver into the grass already, that's Mikey Story, but 3 wide they come into the opening corner. That's a bold move there. William Humphrey makes the place as they make the way through in towards turn number 2. I think the Altitude 3M esports driver here might just be fancying his chances once again as they come into the braking zone now for turn number 1, and as they make the way from right into left, well, Hayden Miller here side by side with him. They'll go all the way through to turn number 3, and Saunders does take the place there. That's for overall position, not for pro position. Saunders is the pro leader, but he goes a bit deep there at 3 to the inside of 4 then, and Miller right now enjoying this. Saunders enjoying it. A little bit of rub and contact between the two of them, but nothing wrong with a bit of bump and grind between the two Ford, for the Ford and the Corvettes, the two Americans I should say. And
with those two Evo drivers in front of them, because they're realistically in a completely different race, they're just a barrier up towards the likes of Rubino and Wendling. Oh, there's Rubino going off the road, and here comes James Bostock, past 1, past 2. This is a great little move from James.
Oh, and look behind him as well. Hardiek, up high. He decides to come back down low. But Denny Plurger has really lost a lot of ground here. He's lost 7 places since the start of this race in that green Porsche. But look at this, for the lead. Hammond wants it. He's gone back down the inside. He got off the brakes again to let the car down the inside of Rob Mackay. And you said Rob was going to be clinging on at the front. And now he's clinging on to second. Great move by Lewis Hammond. Really good committed stuff. And look, down the inside, Richard White. He wants a piece of this in the Porsche. He's got James Bostock.
And it's lights out and away we go here as Mirko Bortolotti goes exactly on the green, and as they roar the way down towards turn number 1, Martin Stattmann side by side with him, but look behind Tim Perry under pressure, Miguel Leon immediately as the Inosis esports driver tries to put the pressure on. Further back we've got 3, 4 wide, they're all in the crush as they come through the opening bay. Look back for the rear of your second place runner Stattmann, and Stattmann right now for the GazX Racing team. What he's trying to do here, I think now, is just hold on to second, and if needed, he may have to act as a bit of a buffer and perhaps sacrifice a little bit of his race for the race leader here, although Bortolotti, to be fair, I think might be holding some pace back, but here comes Lux in the tow, in towards what we roller coaster they come with the Virginian corkscrew. It's left into right very quickly here as they both make the way, and it's 2 wide on entry, but Lux gets ahead. It's up into second now, as it will be Martin Stattmann falling down to 3rd, but Callum Lux does clear another one, and now only 1 car is between him and an opportunity of victory here tonight. Which is Perry going to make the move, or I'm going to have to make the move for him? Well, there's your answer. Perry's going to go on the inside here of Dean into the braking zone. Edwards gets to watch it from the popcorn seat view. Perry there being 2 wide on exit. Dean's going to try and hang around the outside. Does Edwards think about going up the inside as well? He gets himself ready for it in case there's contact, but there's not. Perry, they're being fair. Dean tucks back in behind. Lovely move there from Tim Perry. And I think meanwhile Beardsworth will hope they don't get close up in time as Beardsworth's going to look up the inside. He goes all in and it's from very far back. He gets it stopped, however, and Beardsworth there nails the move, but Tillison's going to come back at him up the hill. Does he go in on the brakes here? This is bold to do it on the inside. No, he does not. And Brian Beardsworth at the end, he gets it wrong. He goes out wide at turn number 6. Tillison's going to be too wide with him, but too wide they're going to turn 7. Tillison goes to the switch back there. 9 is no way through, and in the end they come down towards turn number 8. Well, there Tillison backs off. He lets Hutchinson go around the outside, but is it the right call? Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, it is time to kick off our interviews. And, well, we're going to jump straight into our interviews here with not just one, but two. In fact, we might even be getting 3 drives into the interview room, because joining me now, we're going to be getting a special interview with the entirety of the Inox Motorsport team. And in they come. And well, joining me first is going to be none other than Benjamin Massey. Here comes Matthias Pedger as well. And why not? We're going to also bring up Mikael Epicek in. Gentlemen, good evening to you, and it's a special day today for the 3 of you, because on a selfish level, Ben has just taken the Pro Championship, but for the 3 of you, you are our team's champions for this season. Congratulations. I mean, we'll come to yourself, Ben. How does that feel?
Yeah, I mean, I have no words, really. We all did bloody amazing, mind the language, but yeah, there's no other way to, it's an understatement otherwise. It's just like sick teamwork the whole time in quali and in the race, like all just working together, like communicating about like gravel on the track or crashes or anything like that, and just like working together in the week as well. And officials like giving feedback to each other. Like I wouldn't have won the drivers' championship, and we obviously wouldn't have won the team's championship together without all of us involved. So yeah, I'm really happy.
Well, a brilliant team effort from yourselves, no doubt about it. And coming to yourself, Matthias, I mean, whilst you were not Pro Champion, you did finish 3rd place in the championship provisionally, as we understand it. And you've been a big part of it. You even took your first win last time out at Mugello. I mean, you've been a huge role to play alongside Ben.
Yeah, I mean, we started as just 2 drivers out of this league, and we figured out we worked together quite well in the team. And after that, after Mike saw it, he joined. And yeah, the win at Mugello was a big surprise to me, and finishing again in the 1-2 position was a very, very nice result, especially at the last finisher. Pressure from Jan Linz the whole time, and especially Angel Donners in the last laps, it was intense. It was intense. These 2 actually got both in the position to take my 3rd place.
Well, it was very close, no doubt about it. And then you were able to hold on to it just about. And then coming to yourself, Mikael, I mean, you've only joined the season midway through, but you've also been a big part to play, and you picked up some great results. And here today, well, it was a 3rd place in the class. You must have been quite pleased with that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I joined midway. I'm quite happy with my result. I did like my best I could. Fortunately, last race was not my best luck, so we got contact with Ordones, but it is what it is. I was really hoping to be like in at least top 6-5 in the pro class today, but yeah, it is what it is.
Well, indeed, a bit of a challenging race then, but still happy with the result by the sounds of things. And when we put it all together, Ben, coming back to yourself, I mean, pole position today, it looked as though it was a certainty what you're going to be able to deliver here. You looked unstoppable from the outset.
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have beaten, not like to rub it in, but to have been able to be on the same playing fields as Angel, obviously with just the quality and stuff, and managed to sneak one victory in there, obviously with the starting positions. But I've got to thank Tim Perry for helping me with like setup configuration and like some gear selection in some corners and like things like that. And it helped me a lot. Just increased the TC slip a little bit for the hairpin because I was quite unstable before, so I'm quite aggressive on the throttle out of some corners. But yeah, I got to thank Tim Perry obviously for the help there. And he had a sick result today, I think only within a few tenths of Bortolotti after the whole race. So a really impressive result as well. Yeah, and yeah, good position. Obviously winning both the championships.
Well, indeed, a huge result in qualifying for yourself, and like you say, being able to get one over Angel and then subsequently being able to deliver that win. Matthias, for yourself, I mean, it was a little bit closer, 12th in qualifying, 3rd in class, but in the end, 2nd place. I mean, it looked so in the end, you had to really make sure you fought for those positions.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, it was close. As if Angel Donos would be quite ahead of me, he would get the 3rd place. And luckily, Christian Ablasser has such consistent good pace with the draft where I could easily follow up. And so I thought, now we don't feel safe, we overfuel a little bit on purpose, and then we're going to push the hell out of it. And it seems it worked out.
Well, it worked out very nicely for you on strategy. And meanwhile, for yourself, Miguel, you mentioned about the fact, and we do apologise for saying you finished 3rd. In fact, it was 7th there. A bit of an elbows out moment right at the start of the race sent you backwards, but then you still kept in it to win it, and you did recover quite well. I mean, you must have enjoyed knowing that you had to pick off the places as you went, and Suzuka's not an easy circuit to overtake at.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy... Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Especially with the high temperatures, yeah, I agree. But yeah, after the spin out, I was focusing on beating Bozier because he was my, let's say, main rival in the points, but in the end, I wasn't successful. I thought I'm gonna overtake him in the pits, but somehow he got me. But yeah, it was a tough fight, very close fighting. I enjoyed it anyway, even though I was spun out, but yeah.
Well, glad to hear you did enjoy it, enjoying the fight. And coming back to yourself, Matthias, obviously, later in the race, we definitely saw that tyre life was becoming a bit of a factor. This Suzuka circuit not kind to these GT machines. I mean, how much life did you actually have left in the car at the end?
In percentage, I did not look it up, but from the feeling, I had a lot of life left in the tires. Especially to the draft, a lot of lifting coast. I got such a good tire life. I had really no problem, surprisingly, keeping the tires alive. This was actually the complete opposite compared to the official sessions what I drove during the week.
Oh, goodness me. Well, definitely a bit of a tyre whisperer there. And meanwhile, for yourself, Ben, I mean, you looked very comfortable at the front of the field. No real pressure on. I mean, how did you keep yourself from losing concentration over the whole 60 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing was just at the start, obviously, like I did lose some ground, but I'd rather lose some ground at least with elites, because and just keep it clean at the start, because I obviously didn't want like a meatball like I had in Red America or anything like that, because it'd be really hard track to come back through. But yeah, obviously got a really good lap in quali, and I had some good pace in the officials during the week, so I was quite like confident with the lines to take and stuff. But yeah, I think only 6/10 off the pole, which isn't too bad. And yeah, just like avoiding the chaos, because a couple of cars spinning and stuff from like the rears being too loaded, I think. And then just I could save a lot behind Pedro as well, because he was just ahead of me with good pace, so I was just lifting behind him and not really losing any time. So I was saved quite a lot of fuel, and yeah, had a short stop as well, which made it a bit more easy towards the end after the stop.
Well, short stop and a nice easy run to the end. And well, coming to that finish line, we'll stay with you, Ben. I mean, how did it feel coming out that final corner? And then there's the checkered flag. And after 10 weeks of racing, you are our pro champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just awesome, really. And as I said earlier, I wouldn't have been able to do it without Mike and Matt. And Justin as well, one of our teammates and friends, with this, confidence boosting and stuff as well. So I managed to hit a new iRacing goal as well, like just from doing GTs. So I was really happy with that, and I think it boosted my confidence a bit as well. But yeah, there's no extra words really that I have. It's just, awesome. And it's really nice as well with this league to be able to remember it with, a physical sort of trophy. Because I think a lot of even like more high-end leagues and stuff where like thousands on the line, they don't even get trophies. So, it's really nice to have that aspect to it. I think, and I'm sure everyone in the teams and drivers championship that will receive one will be happy with that.
Oh, fair play. And well, gentlemen, as we do get ready to wrap up and let you go, I mean, the question now I do have to ask is, and feel free for one of you to chip in, is Season 2 is at the end of this month, it starts. Will you guys be back to defend your pro title and the team's championship title?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. I mean, I think with my pace, I'll have to. Well, it will be the new pro actually. I was gonna say I would be elite, but the elite's obviously going to pro, so I think I'm now fairly comfortably in that bracket. So I will have to fight with the best. And I think we saw Bortolotti was gonna do it again, so I might have to, do a lot of practice. I don't think the win will be on the cards again, but hopefully the drivers will be good again. Hopefully, like top 6 or whatever the requirement is for the new drivers as well will be possible. Yeah, hoping iRacing don't screw up the time model as well. I mean they got the temps the same at the start, so it won't be as bad as the new GT3s. But yeah, I'm definitely going to do season 2.
Oh, fantastic, Ben. How about yourself, Matthias?
That what I did here, hell yeah, I'm for sure gonna do this the second season. I read some new tire models, I don't care, I drive it anyways. It was such a great experience, and I'm as well happy to drive here at GT3 League. SR is a great platform, we have a great commentator, so there is a lot of stuff to do it again. It's more like I need to.
Oh, brilliant. Well, appreciate that. And for yourself, Miguel, will we see you for the full season next time? Because we definitely want to see you for all rounds if possible.
Well, I would love to, but unfortunately I have some life issues which made it impossible for me. But I will enjoy watching Matthias and Ben do their job, and yeah, certainly cheer them up.
Oh, fair play. Well, we'll be very happy to have you tuned in on a weekly basis to cheer your teammates on. But guys, as I do now get ready to let you go, lastly, of course, I do have to ask, is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out or a thank you to? And well, if we start with yourself, Miguel.
Well, yeah, obviously the team, the best team I ever had. Really enjoyed the company, the races, the battles we had, and also the entire championship. Great organization, great broadcasting, and yeah, that's the main things.
Oh, thank you. And yourself, Ben?
Yeah, obviously, massive thank you to you just for commentating all the rounds and with the interviews and stuff as well, and the sneaky little hints on whether there was going to be a season 2. They got my hopes up. It's nice to be leaned a bit more towards, shall we say, the second season happening. Yeah, and just thank you to everyone on the team, the SRI team and all the admins and everything for, just going through all of the incidents and, making sure we're clean on the start. So obviously creating all the rules as well, just to make it fair for everyone. And yeah, to my teammates as well, of course, and everyone just supporting through the season, and just to everyone for all the nice battles and stuff throughout the whole 10 weeks.
Oh, and then Matthias, to yourself.
Actually, shout out to everybody, just especially to you and the SR, because we're delivering such a great platform to race. And especially thank you, Ben, thank you, Mike. You really helped me through it and really pushed me to my edge and beyond. And we all three got a great result and a great league. I hope we're going to repeat it as a team.
Oh, fantastic. Well, guys, it's been a pleasure to hear from all three of you this evening in the interior. Congratulations, Ben, on becoming our first ever Pro Champion in its current guise before it does become the new Pro Championship next season. More on that later, ladies and gentlemen. And to all three of you, congratulations on taking the Team's Championship for Iron Knox Motorsport. Well done. Have a lovely rest of your evening and savour the moment. You've earned it. You deserve it.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
So here and there, ladies and gentlemen, from a triple-headed interview from our Inox Motorsport trio of Benjamin Massey, Matthias Pettinger and Mikael Abasek. And we do apologise for slight confusion on the results initially there, but of course, juggling getting all three drives into the interview room, we made it happen eventually. But hearing from them and the happiness across the board, all of them very pleased. And putting it down today, the fact that in the end, well, Benjamin Massey so happy he was able to put it on pole and be able to strike one back versus Angel Ordonez, who all the way through the season had been the runaway pole sitter in the pro class, and that really set the theme of his day. In fact, he was going to look unstoppable. Meanwhile, for Matthias Pettinger, his theme was, of course, making sure to move forward from third to second and never let it go, and he did exactly that. As meanwhile, for Mikael Abasek, unfortunate to be turned around right at the start of that contact between himself and the Enosis esports driver of Ordonez, but he didn't give up, and in the end, he was able to recover to 7th place and bring home some valuable points, and that's why they have become teams champions and why Benjamin Massey has become your pro champion. And well, the smile, I can imagine, will not be leaving their faces, and we're so happy to hear that we're going to see the team back once again. And it will be Benjamin Massey and Matthias Pettinger back leading the way for the Inox team as they'll get ready to go racing in Season 2. Sadly, we won't have Mikael, but he'll be tuning in, and we'll be very happy to have him on the sidelines cheering the team on. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we've got more interviews to come. Up next, we're heading to the elite class, but who exactly with? Well, we're about to find out. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we make our way to the elite class. And joining me now in the interview room is none other than the man who today, once again, pushed Mirko Bortolotti every step of the way. It's Tim Perry. Tim, it's great to have you back in the interview. What a race. You kept us guessing every step of the way. You surprised everybody by going the longest of everyone as well. Nobody else did a 27th lap on a single tank of fuel. Not quite the win, but my God, you've won a lot of hearts. Oh, and if you're saying something, Tim, your microphone's not coming through at the moment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, bear with us. We might be in a slight technical issue for Tim Perry, so it's gone a little bit awry. Hold up, I think we might be hearing him. Tim, are you there? Well, nothing's coming through, sadly, at the moment, it would seem. Oh, I think I might be able to hit a little bit of life on the end of the microphone.
Hi, sorry, can you hear me?
Yep, there we go. We got you at long last, Tim.
Brilliant. Sorry about that. I think I was on push. I was on push to talk.
No worries at all. Well, very happy to have you with us. And, well, as I was saying only moments ago, you may not have won today, but you've definitely won a lot of hearts with pushing Mirko Bortolotti all the way to the very end. How was that for you?
Yeah, one day I will get him. One day I will do it. But yeah, it just wasn't quite to be today. But yeah, one day I will get him.
One day. Well, the thing about today as well is the fact there was so much story to it, and coming into this round, third in the Elite Championship, knowing that the Championship crown was not within touch, second would be perhaps a remote opportunity, the most important thing, protecting third, and you started off that well with a third place in qualifying. It looked a good lap.
Yeah, I mean, I've done quite a few officials this week, and I've been really quick, so I knew the pace was there, and my optimal would have been good enough for pole. So I knew I had the pace. Didn't quite get out like the best lap ever, but yeah, it was a decent lap. I don't think the open qualifying really suits me, to be honest. I prefer just a 2-lap shootout, but yeah, it was good. I was there or thereabouts, and that was the main thing.
Well, in the end, just in the right spot, and as the race got underway, we saw you really settle into that top 5 pack early on. I presume it was always the plan to fuel save, but did you expect it was just going to be a long snake train top 5 for so long?
No, not really, and it didn't really feel that way either, because Jordanovski went off very fast, and it the track felt really weird, and I had a few bumps at the start, and I thought my car was damaged because it just didn't feel very good at all. And it was only when my teammate Mark said that the track temp had gone up to 42 degrees. Suddenly it was like, right, this kind of makes sense, and I managed to kind of back off my entries a bit, and then suddenly the car kind of felt a lot better. But then it was fairly fluid because Jordanovski was very quick at the start. I think he burned out his tyres, and so that kind of brought everyone else back, and Miguel was really pushing him, and then that was pushing me into Mirko. So it was kind of, it did feel quite fluid, and then obviously when Jordanovski then dropped back, we were kind of battling for a bit, and so it didn't feel like we were all just sat in the train, but obviously I was trying to fuel save when I could.
Oh, I see. Well, definitely a very challenging train, but like you say, it wasn't really a slow train. It was one where everyone really trying to push on as much as possible. But with Jordanovski gradually losing out, we did see a change at the front. We saw Miguel Leon sneak his way on through, and with it, Mirko Bortolotti suddenly came through. But then you found yourself stuck in fourth, and you had to really fight your way past Jordanovski.
Yeah, I mean, so I could tell he wasn't as fast as me. So and at one point the gap opened up to about a second from him to Bortolotti. So I thought, right, now's the time to strike, get past him, and then close the gap to Mirko, which I did. And then I made a stupid mistake into the hairpin where I locked up, and then he managed to get past me again. And I think that was actually the thing that cost me the race in the long run. But yeah, it was so that was quite frustrating. And I knew that he was going to obviously go much shorter than me as well. But then luckily Mirko and Leon started fighting, so that brought us back a bit. So it was very fluid. It always felt like you were either kind of moving backwards or forwards, and it was never truly settled.
Oh, indeed. I mean, we were wondering the concept of whether the fact you did struggle to move into third place past Jordanovski, perhaps that was the catalyst for why you came up behind rather than alongside or in front of Bortolotti right at the very end. But the way it all played out, you went the longest of everybody, and in those last couple of laps, I mean, the pace came forward. You were absolutely on the attack for the last 2 laps.
Yep, I mean, I'd saved the tyres, and I mean, that Ferrari wasn't good round here. I will fully admit that. It looked like an absolute handful. So, yeah, I mean, I had the pace to win clearly, but it's quite a difficult track to overtake on. I think another lap or two, I would have had him definitely, but just never quite nailed the run. And then obviously on the last lap, it was very close. I knew I had to give it a wall of death around the outside, and it nearly came off, but not quite.
Not quite. One day you'll get him, like you say, but still, you kept us absolutely on our toes all the way through, whether you could do it or whether you would not. And in the end, well, a second place in the race, but also on top of that, it means you are a third place or a second run-up in the Elite Championship. When you look back on the season, is it what you expected, or were you hoping for a bit more, perhaps?
No, I mean, when I saw the entry list, I saw all the ratings of everyone. I thought I was going to, I was just kind of like, wow, maybe a top 5, maybe, or but I honestly didn't know. Like, there was so many people in the, 4 or 5K range, and obviously Mirko and GazX. So I was really, I thought maybe a top 5 would be the best I could do. So to get third is absolutely incredible. It's one of the best performances in a league I think I've ever done, and absolutely loved every second of it. And I'm not disappointed by third place at all.
Oh, fair play. I mean, we definitely say not to be disappointed, given how hard you've tried throughout the season, the level of the competition. And therefore, I do have to naturally ask, what's next for yourself? Can we expect you to be back for Season 2 at the end of the month?
Hopefully, yes. I need to test out the new tyre models on the GTEs, just because I've had it before where I think it was the LMP2, which I really enjoyed driving, and then iRacing did an update on it, and it just killed it. It killed all the fun of it. So I just need to check first, just to make sure they haven't done anything too stupid with it. But as long as it's okay, then yep, I'll definitely be back.
Oh, fair play. Well, we definitely look forward to seeing you come back, all being well with the new time model for the GTEs in the coming weeks. But just as we get ready to let you go, Ben, and let you, not Ben, Tim, and let you celebrate for what will be that third place in the championship, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out or a thank you to live on the broadcast?
Yeah, thanks to
to my teammate Mark for the toes in qualifying today. Obviously, thanks to SRI for organising the league. Thanks to you for commentating, and thanks to all the drivers for making it like such a good community. Sometimes leagues can be really toxic, but this one is just brilliant. Everyone's chatting to everyone. I've had chats with all sorts of drivers about setups and driving and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's been really good to just have a general community feeling about it.
Oh, indeed. It's been an absolute pleasure seeing you on the grid, Tim, throughout. And, well, it's been superb. You didn't quite get what was Bortolotti this time, but if we do get to see you back in Season 2, as many are saying in the YouTube chat right now, you'll get him then. But until then, we wish you a lovely rest of your evening. Savour the top 3 in the championship and have a wonderful time ahead. Racing GTEs or whatever you choose to race if the GTE doesn't work out. So here and there, ladies and gentlemen, from Tim Perry, the Altitude Freedom esports driver today, who absolutely gave it his all out there. And talking about the fact the circuit felt very odd, and it was because the track temperature spiked so much going into the race versus qualifying. But so also admitting there in that top 5 group, which we continue to see the replay footage of here, the fact this was not a group that was off pace. It was a group that was going very quickly, with Jordanovski driving too quick for the tyres of his car, and actually losing out, and then it became Leon and Bortolotti who controlled the pace, but the pace kept building and building as they went later and later into the opening stint. And, well, understandably there for Tim Perry, perhaps putting it down to the fact when he got caught up behind Jordanovski right towards the end of the first stint, that was the delta that prevented him from being able to pull off the strategic jump into lead, and instead having to go on the attack versus Bortolotti over the last stint, those final 7 minutes. But what a final 7 minutes it was, and he had the pace, he thought he could get the Ferrari, but he didn't just quite have that opportunity. But next time he'll get him, it will happen soon, and hopefully, if the new GT time model is something he likes, we'll see him back on the grid for Season 2 at the end of the month and looking to give it his all. And definitely, I think one day Tim Perry for Altitude Freedom Esports could be an elite champion here. But today, it's not quite been that way, but still very happy with third, given the calibre of the competition and surpassing his expectations. But we've got more interviews to come, ladies and gentlemen, and indeed, next up, we're going to the Interclass. And so, ladies and gentlemen, joining me now in the interview room is none other than our race winner in the Interclass today. Is, of course, Pinter Somolavente, who joins me now. Good evening to you, Pinter. And, well, it's a pleasure to have you back in the interview once again. It's been a rough last couple of rounds, but here today, even when things went a bit sideways towards the end of the race, you've won in the Interclass. Another win and a 4th place in the championship as a result. You've got to be pleased.
Good evening, Paul. Good evening, everybody. I can't emphasize how much I needed this win in the end of this championship. Yeah, I'm pleased. Like, this was maybe the best ending that could have happened to me, especially if we look at the past few weeks.
Oh, indeed. And obviously, coming into this round, the last few weeks, they have been a struggle. There's no doubt about it. All went wrong at Le Mans, and after that, it seems to have flowed through. So what's been different today at Suzuka? Have you changed your approach, changed your mental approach to the racing, perhaps? Or is it just you love Suzuka?
To be honest, I haven't... like, this was the first time I drove at Suzuka. Like, I got home 1 hour before the race, and I sat down like, okay, let's see what can be made here. So yeah, I didn't have anything with the track before this. Yeah, mindset, I would say mindset change. Not only mindset, it's a little bit more complicated with this. But yeah, mostly mindset. I'm much more calmer now. The bad bad things that happened to me a few weeks ago, like it's starting to get better. It's starting to, like, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, to be honest, and yeah, that I'm much more positive about life again.
Oh, fantastic. Well, again, we do appreciate you sharing that with us, and, well, only share what you feel comfortable with. We never ask anything more than that. And, well, with the light at the end of the tunnel, we saw the light in qualifying 22nd overall, but most importantly, pole position in the class. It was a very good lap from yourself. Were you happy with it?
Yeah, I was very, very, very happy with that. Also, like, yeah, I had a really good setup. I think. So yeah, that was also part of it. It clicked with me. Like the first try, it was my first flying lap. It clicked with me. I saw like I'm 6 tenths ahead of the second place. So yeah, that was a huge, huge positive boost before the race.
Well, a huge boost going into the race, and in the race itself, you look to be in complete control over the distance. Nobody could really touch you. So then off of the back of that, how was it managing the BMW? Because we know it is a car that does struggle at circuits where it's high track temperature, such as what we saw here today.
Yeah, I was struggling a little bit with the back end, especially like at the exit of the corners. I had wheel spin everywhere, or I didn't have enough drag out of the corners. So yeah, I was mainly struggling with wheel spin in the back end. It was to be honest quite a chill race for me. Yeah, I had a few spins. Like I don't care what everyone else says. Degner 1 and Degner 2, they have become the most fearful corners for me in sim racing so far. Like every lap, I was genuinely a little bit scared if I could handle them. But yeah, I had a few spins there. But yeah, in the end, to win and P4 in championship, I'm glad. I'm totally satisfied with that. So yeah, I feel this is a good end to this league.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that's what we want to hear. A great end to the league, a great end to the season, and you've had some great highlights, to be fair. I mean, in terms of one of the statistics you can come away from this season with is the fact that out of all the Inter drivers, you are the one who took the most wins, with John Ludbrook taking 3, Kevin Smith taking 3, you took 4. Perhaps it didn't work out for the championship crown, but big sets of results. And then I do have to ask, could we expect you to come back for season 2 to try and take the crown the second time round?
I was thinking. I have been thinking for the past few days. On one side, when I saw the schedule and the tracks, I was blown away immediately. Like I think it's a really good set of tracks, and also the update in regards with the GTs. Like one part of me really wants to participate in a second round, but on the other hand, I'm a little bit tired. Like I need I need a few weeks of relax now. It was really stressful for me to get home as soon as possible, to practice week after week. I really enjoyed it, and I think I became a better driver. Like in regards where I was 10 weeks ago, I think I really it helped me in terms of driving, but I feel like I need a little bit of rest now. And also I have other hobbies, so yeah, especially the good weather is coming, spring is coming, so yeah, I want to have a little bit of rest now, practice, and come back stronger for a future season.
That's absolutely fair. And I think you're doing the right thing, prioritising what makes you feel good and giving yourself a rest. There's always value in taking a bit of a break. And do know, if you do decide to come back at some point later this year, we're still running the GTE Championship. I'm sure we will be. We would be very happy to see you back on the grid whenever you do feel ready. There's no expectation because you have been a star throughout this season and we've loved seeing you on the grid.
Thank you very much. And I want to thank you also and everyone who helped me a few weeks ago. Like, yeah, it was a really, really, really bad and tough time for me. Yeah, so it was one of the toughest times in my life for me. And what you guys wrote in the Discord chat, that really, really helped me to move forward. So yeah, I would like to give a huge, huge thanks to you and everyone who helped me.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure to be fair, and all the heartfelt wishes are definitely deep from the heart here at SimRacing International. And Pinter, just as I do get ready to let you go and let you savour the conclusion of your season, I do have to ask, as always, is there anyone beyond who you've given a mention to already that you'd like to give a shout out or a mention to on the broadcast?
my friend Richard Richie in the chat, he has been the my main support throughout the whole season. So yeah, I would like to thank him very much. And yeah, I just cannot repeat myself enough about you guys and the help and the hope you gave me.
Well, Pinter, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you join me in the interview room. Congratulations once again for ending your season on the ultimate high of a win, and we wish you all the best as summer does come around, and the sun with it means enjoy your hobbies, enjoy the rest as well, and we will see you back on the grid at some point down the road, my friend.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone, and have a nice weekend.
You too. So here now, ladies and gentlemen, from Pinter Sommerlovente, and what a lovely interview there. Really not opening up too much about what's been happening personally, but just to give you some context, he did openly mention in the SimRacing International Discord GTE community section about the fact he was going through some tough personal challenges and he wasn't feeling in a happy place, and the messages that came out from so many drivers up and down the grid, offering him words of support, encouragement to be there for him, and he's definitely rallied around it, and well, we've seen him really rally today and come back to end his season strong. A very different mindset, getting the personal challenges out the way, and we've seen it here on the grid today. The priority has absolutely flown high, and indeed a swan song for his season. Not to be back in season 2, he wants the break and wants to take some time to do other things, and completely understandable, to be fair. It is tough. 10 weeks of racing, it doesn't sound like much, 60 minutes, but you think each week, those 60 minutes of racing preceded by so much practice, by qualifying, and when it's a 90-minute race as well, and what goes through your mind? Well, if you've not been there, I can tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of those, it stays with you when you're at work, when you're doing other things, you think about this, much like you would real life racing. It does not go away until the season's over, and we're taking a break has definitely been earned there from the privateer driver, and we look forward to the day he does come back. So I think on that day, we could definitely see him move forward and perhaps taking a maiden championship crown. But with that, we've got a couple more interviews still to come. And next up, we're staying in the interclass. In fact, the theme is we're staying in the interclass for the rest of our interviews. But who exactly are we going to be interviewing with? Well, we'll be back very shortly to find out who's number 4 on our list. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the man who has stolen the Inter runner-up spot away from Andrew Fellows, because joining me in the interview room is none other than We Pay 300 Esports' Bruno Key. Bruno, good morning to you. What a day today. Second place in class, second place in the championship as well. How does that sound?
Yeah, for today's race is so crazy. This week's I had a business trip, so I will to go to the Beijing and to Shanghai for the 1,000 kilometers for the long trip, and I just to back home just before the race start, and so I had to 100% to the practice for this track, because for this special livery, and in the race I just for lucky and to without any trouble, especially for the race start, and I saw my competitive Andrew had a thing in the hairpin, so after that I saw I have the in the podium, so I just do to thinking to keep the race clean and to finish the race in the podium, and try to before the race in the Andrew. But for the race I had a internet issue in the middle of the race, so I just to wish my internet can still to keeping my in the track on the track. Yes.
Oh, goodness me. I mean, to go from having the business trip to jumping straight into going racing, that's incredible itself. And then to have the challenges you've had in the race, even if it was a relatively easy start for yourself, able to pick up the places, have the instep trouble. I mean, it's been a season where you've overcome a lot of challenges, and you've been one of those drivers who has just gradually made your way up the field. I mean, this is another podium where you've been able to just take the places and stay out of trouble. I mean, is that perhaps one of your strengths, is the fact you're good at avoiding trouble?
Yeah, for my side, for the long distance race, for the endurance race, I just do without any trouble. So I think for this championship also help me to keep the uh, keep the good strategy and for the good race pace and to the risky because I think I cannot to for the sometimes I don't have any pace to take to the battle, but I think I have a good pace in the clean air, so I try to practice more for this and hope for the next season I can to do more battle things.
Oh, indeed. Well, that ability to avoid trouble and using your endurance race background there really did show. And of course, here today, we got to see the special livery on the car as well. A lovely livery, the Sakura Blossom. I mean, you were proud to run it.
Yeah, for this livery is my favorite livery because for Suzuka track is also for the Asia, in Asia. So I think we need to bring for the special things in the season end because I still to fight to the championship to the positions. So I think to bring the new livery maybe to can give me a lot of luck. And yes, indeed for this race is luckily for today.
Oh, indeed. It brought you some luck, and you've earned the runner-up spot in the championship, albeit only by result countback versus Andrew Fellows. Was that what you expected when you started the season, that you would be the runner-up?
Yeah, for my side, this is my first time to the league race, but for the championship, for my class, we have a lot of great race with with other competitive, and I really enjoy that. And so for the run up, it's without my magic for before the season start, and yeah, for this race for this season, I think the very important things is just to keep calm down to my thinking and without any trouble and to finish the race in the top 5 and we can to get the good result. Yeah.
Oh, indeed. I mean, you have been fantastic, and getting those good race results time and time again, it's been well deserved. And Bruno, I have to ask, what's next for yourself? Can we expect you to be back for season 2, or have you got other plans?
Yeah, I already to think up for the next season, but for my real life for my real life work, I might be skip to at least 4 races, but we will try to fight to the class win. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. Well, we'd love to see you back in season 2. It would be great to have you back on the grid for the WP 300 esports team. And as I get ready to let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out or a mention to?
Yeah, I would like to thank you for my class competitive, like the Andrew, like Pinto, like the Kevin Smith, like our class champion John. We have a very good memory for this season, and I wish to for the next season we can to do more things, to do more battles, and very thank you for the uh, for you to do the brilliant competitive and for the brilliant commenters, and for the next season we wanted to do more. Yes.
Oh, well, likewise, Bruno, a huge thank you to you for being on the grid. I mean, you and the team have been absolutely superb this season. We look forward to more next time out. But until then, you are our runner-up inter-class driver for this season. A brilliant effort, a fantastic second place. And we look forward to seeing you in Season 2. But until then, savour it, enjoy it, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah. Thank you, Paul.
So here and there, ladies and gentlemen, from Bruno Key, and well, it may be the early hours of the morning for him, but I can tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen, he has been absolutely incredible this season. And talking out there the fact that his one bit of luck, or the one thing he's really built himself around, is the idea of avoiding getting into trouble and focusing on really treating these races like he would in longer endurance races, which is be consistent, don't be the quickest, but be the driver who doesn't make mistakes. And that is why he's finished second in the end, because on paper, qualifying pace, he's actually been one of the weaker one-lap pace drivers in the interclass, but he has shown that it takes a whole race to win a race, and that's why he's been so good and why he's stolen away second place in the Interclass Championship all the way at the very end. And well, when he's needed to fight, he has done so, but otherwise he's kept things nice and tight. And we look forward to seeing him back on the grid for Season 2. And you never know, to be fair, with that approach, if he does unlock just a couple more attempts of pace here and there, we reckon he could be one day a champion in his class, because he's definitely earned the hearts of many. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got one more interview to come. Who's it going to be with to wrap up our interviews of this season? Well, don't go too far, because we're about to find out. And so, ladies and gentlemen, for our final interview of the season, joining me now in the interview room is the man who's literally just been pipped to the post on result count back for the runner-up spot in the interclass. It is Andrew Fellows. Andrew, good evening to you, and well, thank you for waiting so long. We've had such a queue of interviews today. It's been a challenging day for yourself, but to be fair, all things considered, joint runner-up technically in the interclass, only behind a result count back, and what a season it's been for yourself.
Yeah, it's been a good season. Ruined a couple of mistakes I made earlier on in the season, thinking like Road Atlanta and bits and pieces. But yeah, still joint second in the championship, third on countback. Can't complain. Definitely would have took that if you'd have offered me that at the beginning of the season.
Oh, indeed, it's been such a journey you've come from since the start to the very end, and there's been a lot of triumph, particularly in the first couple of rounds. There's also been the tribulations midway through, and Suzuka today perhaps really encapsulating that. Qualifying 30th overall, 6th in class. What happened in qualifying? Because there's a running theme I have noticed. I should point out, if John Ludbrook doesn't have a good day in qualifying, you don't have a good day in qualifying, but whatever goes wrong with him seems to be added up for yourself. So what happened there?
I've never been like the fastest sort of kind of driver. I'm more of a consistent driver. So it seems to be that in qualifying, I'm always missing a couple of tenths. It was quite close. I mean, my optimal was like a 55.2, which would maybe put me third if I was lucky. But it's always been just that sort of head down in the race and just consistency. And it's difficult. John's definitely a lot faster than me. And in the race, to be fair, he's Mr. Consistent as well. So it's been good racing with him. But yeah, I think there's definitely a running theme that qualifying I don't do very well.
Well, qualifying may not be your strength, but to be fair, what we did see in the race is a bit of a bumpy race, particularly the turn 11 hairpin on the opening lap. What exactly happened next? There were cars everywhere.
Yeah, so a car got spun in front of me, and then I went around that car. And then the car that had spun, I think it was John actually that got spun. The car that spun John then jinked out to go round John, but clipped me in the process, and spun me around. So that was me sort of pretty much stone dead last straight away. which was unfortunate because I'd done the hard work. Bruno had out qualified me, and then I got past him in the opening lap. So I'd done the hard work at the beginning for it all to be undone at the hairpin, unfortunately. And from then it was just head down and just try and push and see what I can do, because obviously clear air, I could push a little bit quicker than some of the guys ahead, because obviously they were battling and make some time up. And then I had an instant with Craig at the last chicane. We went in there side by side, and I come out facing backwards, so that didn't help. But it's one of those things. I probably could have given a bit more room, to be fair. So yeah, head down and just try and do my best. And I managed to catch Brian. He pitted, but because of my pace, I was able to outdo him in the pits and do an overcut. So that worked out.
Well, definitely worked out in the end. And to be fair, one of your strengths this season we have seen is your resilience to when things do go backwards, and you definitely demonstrated that here today. Looking back on the season, obviously third here with the result of your perseverance. If you had to name one moment or one round that will be your highlight, which one would it be?
That's a very good question. I don't know. I think Daytona was a really good highlight, based on how well we did at the opening round. But I think, thinking back, the highlight has to be probably Interlagos, where I came second, I believe, and John got first. So we had a 1-2 for the team. So I think that's got to be the highlight, getting a 1-2 for the team. Ideally, me in first would have been better, but yeah, just a 1-2 for the team. John's been outstanding, so can't take that away from him.
Oh, absolutely fair play. And in terms of the Teams Championship in the end, I mean, what we have seen is that GPX SimSport Xenon provisionally will be third place once this is all done, just holding off GazX Racing, JRM and Anosis Esports. So it does mean for yourself and John, and also there for what is none other than Robin Aston, there's some trophies coming your way, not just for the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, third place twice. So yeah, it's been good. John missed VIR, unfortunately, when there was just the two of us. So that could have been some extra points, but he was away on an important business personal trip. So that was fair play for him. But yeah, you got with Robin coming in, obviously that should have helped, but unfortunately he only managed to make the one round. So, but we've done well, I think, as a team of two for the majority of the season. Me and John have done really well. Just fighting with some of the teams that you've got there. You've got obviously the likes of Mirko, Ben, and all the others that are so fast and consistent. I mean, Mirko's won, I think, was it maybe 8 races? I think he's been absolutely on fire in the elite class, and to come within a reasonable points gap and is something to be proud of, I think, in that respect.
Oh, no doubt. And I think everyone would agree with you there. And of course, this is season 1 all said and done, but season 2 is less than a month away. Will you be back there to see if you can go for gold next time out?
So I have been debating it. I've really enjoyed season 1. It's just the fact that the way my shifts are falling for season 2, I will probably miss a couple of rounds. But it's been so much fun. I will probably sign up anyway. I know I'm like, and just to race against these guys, because there's been some fantastic racing up and down the grid. Racing against the likes of Pinta, Bruno, Kevin, John, James. There's been so many good races with a lot of the Inter drivers and pros as well. Some of the pros as well. So I think just for the racing, I'll probably come back, and I don't think I'll be able to do anything for trophy-wise, but I might be able to help John with a few points here and there, so help him with some teams points.
I mean, it'd be brilliant to see you back, even if it's only for a select number of rounds, Andrew. You've been a star this season, and just as we get ready to let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout-out or a mention to on the broadcast?
Yeah, obviously, yourself as usual for the brilliant commentaries and the great broadcast, and obviously all the good interviews at the end, all the admin that make this possible. GPX SimSport for letting me join the team for the season. Glad that we did it proud and got a trophy for the team. And yeah, teammate John and just all the drivers in the championship. To be fair, they've been really good racing up and down the grid. It's been fantastic, and yeah, well done to Bruno for pipping me at the post. I tried my best, but yeah, he's done some really good racing. So thank you to everyone.
And Andrew, we have to say a big thank you to you for an absolutely superb season of racing. Not quite the runner-up spot in Inter, but very close to it. Only result count back being the separation of yourself and Bruno Key. We'll see you again in the near future for Season 2 in the rounds we can make, most likely. But until then, my friend, savour the moment, enjoy the memories of Season 1, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks, Paul.
So here and there, ladies and gentlemen, from our final interview of the evening, Andrew Fellows of GPX SimSport Xenon, and talking out there the fact how much and how far he's come over the season, and for an Inter driver, particularly our lower class, that's one of the big themes, of course. They are not necessarily rookies in terms they've not driven GTs, although several of them have never raced GTEs in a league format on iRacing before, any simulator service, but the fact they are the drivers who've got the most to learn and being able to look back and look fondly on moments, and his favourite moment, of course, was the 1-2 with John Lundberg at Interlagos, where the team absolutely delivered in the interclass. For himself, the progression and knowing he's sharing the grid with the likes of Mirko Bortolotti, Tim Perry, etc., and knowing how close he can be on the pace to them, where, of course, using them as a barometer, if you're 2 seconds within some of the fastest drivers on iRacing in a GTE car, you are doing exceptionally well over a given lap. And well, that's what he's enjoyed so much, as well as the company in the interclass. Much like what Bruno Key was saying earlier on, the fact he's absolutely loved racing against the likes of Kevin Smith, against Pinto Somolovente, and Andrew Fellows, and so Andrew's absolutely loved it there, and it really shows how the interclass has gelled so well, and for Andrew Fellows it's been such a good season. Well, if we do get to see him back in Season 2, even for a couple rounds, he's definitely going to be one to watch out for, but until then I'm sure you'll put in plenty of practice in the meantime for his newfound love of the GT machines. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, that brings our interviews to a close, and how about, given we had such a bumper edition of interviews, we give you a recap of who we've spoken to. And so, as we can see there, we've had quite a few interviews, breaking it all down for you. Our first 3 interviews, of course, were none other than with the Inox Motorsport trio of Benjamin Massey, Matthias Pettinger, and also Mikael Abasek. Of course, Benjamin Massey being your provisional Pro Class champion, as well as the trio being your team's champions there, and Matthias Pettinger taking the 3rd place spot in the Pro Championship as well. We then spoke to the Elite Class 3rd place runner-up of Tim Perry there for Altitude Freedom Esports, talking about his story of the day with regards to batting hard for the victory, but in the end just missing out and beating Bortolotti the 2nd time round the season. And then we came to the interclass for a triple header, starting with the man who took victory today after taking pole in a dominant way, Pinto Somolovente. Then we came to Bruno Key, the runner-up in the end, sneaking the runner-up spot back off of Andrew Fellows right at the end, because whilst they were equal on points, he had the greater number of 2nd places to that of Andrew Fellows, and Andrew Fellows meanwhile just falling to 3rd in the championship in the interclass, but loving it every step of the way, and today having to fight back up the field after a difficult start, indeed in qualifying and in the race. A big thank you to all, what is there, if I do my mental maths, 7 drivers for their interviews this evening. We're very grateful. We've been extremely grateful for the fact so many have wanted to interview week in and week out. Indeed, to all the drivers who've joined me for an interview this season, they have really made it spectacular to hear the thoughts of drivers on a weekly basis, and thank you to all our drivers who compete in this season. They've all been absolutely brilliant. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for us to wrap up. And well, what a season it has been. That is Season 1 of the SimRacing International GTE Championship complete. And if you enjoyed watching the broadcast either today or for the entirety of the season or somewhere in between, and perhaps you're sat there right now thinking, you know what, I want to get on the grid at SimRacing International. How do I do that? What you need to do, firstly, is join the official Discord. Invite link at the bottom of your screen, as you can see there. And if you do join the Discord, you'll be right on course to be making your way onto any one of our series. Of course, we do have our official series there, going from left to right. right, of firstly our GT3 Championship on Thursdays, which does have 120 drivers across 2 splits of 60 cars apiece. We also do have our Sunday GT3 series, the UK SimRacing Community Tradition 1, and will that running on Sundays there, heading towards its 18th season soon, with season 12 of the Thursday GT3 Championship also set to get underway in a couple of weeks' time. And we also do have, of course, on Friday evenings, the GTE Championship, which will be coming back for a second season. More on that very shortly. Don't go anywhere. We're going to tell you all about it very soon. And we do have there for the more casual audience, or if you're looking to just dip your toes into league racing, are free to join Practice League, which runs on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. So there's never been a better time to get on the grid here at SimRacing International. We'd also like to take a moment to say a big thank you to our series and league sponsors, who do include CarMate, Modern Technology, and the GP2 Group. And also we must give a massive shout out there to Motorsport UK's esports division for recognising us at SimRacing International as a recommended community. We're very grateful for that recognition, and long may it continue throughout the entirety of 2026 and beyond. But, of course, now, what is coming next time? Well, ladies and gentlemen, like what we said earlier on, we shall be back for Season 2 of the GTE Championship on Fridays, beginning Friday the 27th of March 2026. That's right, we can officially confirm that in 3 weeks' time, we'll be back for a whole new season of racing. And in terms of the details, well, the sign-ups are definitely open right now, and I'm very pleased to say these broadcasts will be continuing for the championship, and I'll be back in the commentary booth bringing you action on a weekly basis, mostly live. There will be some instances where the broadcast will not be live. They will be post-round due to schedule clashes, but I promise you there is going to be a broadcast of every round, and it'll be full of energy every step of the way. As we all know and love here at SimRacing International, the racing is energetic, and therefore it needs a broadcast to match it. And in terms of what you can expect, well, we can see we will have 35 trophies up for grabs between all the drivers, subject to confirmation of numbers and the split of the classes. But what is going to change? Look to the top right corner of your screen there. You'll notice we are going from Elite, Pro and Inter to a slightly rebranded set of classes of Pro, Inter and Evo, and this is to align with our upcoming restructuring across all of our series here at SimRacing International. So just imagine the Elites now become the Pros, and meanwhile the Pros currently become the Inters, and the Inters currently become the Evos. But otherwise, we've also seen a slight adjustment of the I rating. So if you're sat there right now thinking to yourself, well, I've got over 5,000 I ratings, surely there's no place for me on this grid, I'm too good for the grid. Well, don't you worry, because there are plenty of drivers who'll be joining the grid with an excess of 2,800 plus I rating. And at the opposite end of the spectrum, further down, if you've got an I rating of 1,000 and think, well, there's no space for an amateur like me, you're wrong about that, because there's a space for you in Evo, which takes you all the way up to 1,800 I rating. So therefore, no matter what your skill level, you will have some competition on this grid. But diving into the detail over those 10 championship rounds, well, if you're on the grid, the 35 personalised trophies you'll be battling for will be, of course, Drivers' Championship trophies in the Pro, Evo and Inter classes, subject to which class our drivers are assigned to. And just keep in mind, those numbers are subject to confirmation based on the number of drivers assigned to each class. And we also do have our Championship trophies for the Teams' Championship up for grabs for all drivers in the top 5 teams over the course of the season. Now, one thing we haven't done, we will come back to very shortly, is announcing your champions from what is Season 1. We forgot about those standings, but don't worry, but we wanted to talk about this very quickly whilst it's hot on our heels. And, well, in terms of the schedule, here is the schedule. It is, of course, the Season 2 calendar, but just a reminder, this is subject to confirmation with the iRacing official schedule. We are mirroring it, but following it a week behind, and it is going to be confirmed in week 13. So don't quite purchase all your circuits yet. Do wait until it's confirmed, but this is our provisional schedule right now. It will flex with the iRacing official calendar for the GTE Sprint Series. But one thing to note, we do have, of course, what is the introduction of wet weather. We're not quite sure which rounds it's going to apply to as yet, but you will see wet weather conditions applied to the GTE Championship rounds every so often. And also, you'll notice there is one extra 90-minute round. We are having a 7-3 split, and we are going to see the endurance race rounds at Imola, also at Spa-Francorchamps, and then our season finale at Mexico of rounds 2, 6, and 10. So it's going to make the championship even more intriguing and even more intense throughout. And that's why you definitely want to get on the grid and get yourself signed up for Season 2 of the GTE Championship. And as for those standings, which we promised you, well, as we come to the very end of this broadcast, let's bring you up to speed then with your Season 1 champions. Here they are, ladies and gentlemen. Because as we can see, in the Elite Championship, is Mirko Bortolotti on 425 points. He has taken that crown ahead of his teammate for GazX Racing Team MCM. It's a 1-2, and Martin Stattmann will be number 2 with a run of 5 third-place finishes, 7 of them in total, and a second, a non-finish, and an 8th there. What an incredible record, only beaten by Bortolotti's 8 wins, 6 in a row. Tim Perry, 3 second places, best results, but 370 points there. Ahead of Miguel Leon, who finished in 4th, all things considered, just ahead of Marinko Jordanovski, and then Sylvain Depeche just missing out on the trophy there in terms of battle for 5th, but still taking the 6th place trophy, the last of them, with Albert Prisch in 7th ahead of Pedro Luis de Silva. In fact, there's 8 trophies up for grabs there. My eyesight does deceive me. Then Christian Ablasser 9th ahead of Olivia Dean, which had Henson and Mark Hutchinson completing the top 12. Meanwhile, in the pro class, Benjamin Massey, your championship winner there for Inox Motorsport on 435 points. In the end, 50 ahead of Rene Rissler for GazX Racing Team JRM, and Matthias Penninger completing that top 3 there with a late run of a double podium, and the Inox Motorsport driver just making sure to hold off Angel Ordonez. Ordonez taking 4th ahead of Jan Lintz, and it was Cedric Boyce here round off the top 6 there in the pro class, and all of them the championship trophy winners. Chris Round, a little bit short there, but in 7th, just ahead of Ryan Walker by a single point today after Walker matching his season best 4th places of rounds 6 and 7, and then Brandon White in 9th place there ahead of Mikhail Abasek, with Flavin Tiefri and John Shamblin completing the Pro Championship standings. As for the Inter top 12, here we can see John Lebret was already your champion coming into this round, and on 414 points right now, 90 didn't need any more points to be secure, and Bruno Key and Andrew Fellows both on 370 points, but Bruno Key with 3 second place finishes, 2 Fellows is 2. That's how, on result countback, he has taken the run-up spot for We Pay 300 Esports and split the GPX SimSport Xenon pair. Involved, Pinterson Levente a further 14 points behind with 4 wins, the most of any Inter driver this season. Well done to him ahead of Brian Beardsworth, and Craig Tillotson there sneaking ahead of Kevin Smith to take 6th place, and a well-earned trophy at that, with consistent form towards the middle to end of the season really coming alive for Verano Academy, particularly that 3rd place finish in round number 8. Kevin Smith there in 7th, unfortunately not able to make the grid today, but celebrating the birth of his child, and the Verano Academy trial we hope to see back in the next season. Indeed, he's going to be a weapon to be contended with, ahead of Logan Timberlake, James Bostock and Virgilio Garcia, with Eddie Fairbold and Marcus Singdon completing your top 12 of the Inters. And as for the Teams Championship, here are your top 10 teams. And on the left, your top 5, and the drivers will all be receiving trophies. At the very top, Inox Motorsport getting the job done by only 7 points at the finish ahead of GazX Racing Team MCM, and then GPX SimSport Xenon rounding off that top 3 there, holding on, albeit by the best part of only 30 points over GazX Racing Team JRM. And Oasis Esports making sure they finished in 5th, comfortably ahead of Altitude 3M Esports, who definitely brought some big points to the table today, and therefore they fended off the French team of Cube Racing Team, with Verano Academy, We Pay 300 Esports, and GPX SimSport Onyx completing those standings there, and WP 300 just stealing back 9th off of GPX SimSport Onyx right at the death of the season. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, well, that's a rundown of the standings. We've talked about Season 2. I think we ticked off all the boxes now, as it's getting a little bit late. But one thing I'll tell you, one thing is, it's never too late to get signed up, so do keep in mind that we will be back for Season 2 on Friday, the 27th of March, 2026. We'd absolutely love to have you. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the conclusion of the SimRacing International GTE Championship Season 1 brought to you on iRacing. It's been incredible. It's been a blast. But at long last, we bring the curtain down. We've been SimRacing International. I've been your host and commentator, Paul Walsh. And indeed, until next time, remember to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling. Have a wonderful weekend ahead, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you in Season 2. But most importantly, do remember, as always, to stay on track. Thank you very much, and good night.